pawns, man, in the game, they get capped quick. They be out the game early.
Unless they some smart-ass pawns.
This is not meth.
But the whole show is about meth. That's the important factor. We are back. I can no longer say that I'm the most organized guy on the show. These two did work behind the scenes for the future episodes and stuff, which helped a lot. But we are back. Breaking Bad. This episode, Breaking Bad first. Second, The Wire. Third, we finished 2 seasons. Season 3 of The Wire.
Season 2 of The Wire.
No. Season 2 of The Wire, Season 3 of Oz. 3 episodes left after this of Breaking Bad of Season 3. We'll see where it ranks. Mike Hanley used all of his energy last week to be here. We talked about Oz for over an hour, which we have never done on the show. So he didn't have it in him to come back-to-back weeks for the season finale, which is where we rank the season, which he gets no input on because I do not care about a text vote. First up, Matt Quaylar, the man, the myth, the legend, the guy that keeps this ship afloat. Yeah. How are you, and how was your viewing experience?
Doing good. I mean, it was a pretty good viewing experience. We got 2 season finales. That's always exciting, and we got some really good Breaking Bad. We're in season 3 with Breaking Bad, so we're cooking now. It's to the moon from here. So it was a good week.
Yeah. Famously, I broke the rules after I watched start of season 3 and I got through where we got through, and Mark's like, I need to get to this, so we did 4, which makes sense because it's 13 episodes versus 12 to keep it all copacetic. Mark, the Wire defender, the Breaking Bad indifferent, and the Oz hater. How was your viewing experience this week? You only got 2 Oz episodes.
I mean, I don't know if I'm Breaking Bad indifferent. I especially don't think I can be called that after this week, because I mean,
we're back.
Some bad things would have happened. Although it would have been different if we hadn't gotten through 1 minute. If I didn't speak up and get us to watch 1 minute, it would have been different because I would have just been sitting here for another week, not getting to watch 1 minute. I would have been very angry.
But can we argue? Like, I know we would never jump ahead on this show at all, but we're not going to say Sunset's like one of those episodes as well. Like, that is insane.
It is, but I also
it's
know
not 1 minute. It's not 1 minute.
I also know what's ahead. I know what's right next, and we got it. And you tell me I have to wait another week to talk about it. Come on,
that's right. That's right. I would not be able to wait either. So. We're going to talk about that. We're going to break through first. We're going to start with how we kind of left Breaking Bad when we left. We had that whole in-depth analysis from all of us. The fact that Heisenberg came out against Skyler at the very end of the episode by saying that she fucked Ted, that left everybody with like, what? So then we started with the episode of Green Light. Basically, we start with Jesse at a convenience store, gas station with his RV, and he's talking to the lady, and he doesn't have any money, so he's going to sell her crystal. Nice girl. Doesn't seem like the crystal meth type at all.
Jesse's a bad guy.
Jesse, bad guy. Jesse, bad guy. Bad guy. He's just helping the rehab businesses, if I was correct. So he bad guy. He ends up convincing her. He's also still doing this while the cop is walking in, which I think was weird. And then I think the show sets up a very like cool shot of the RV pulling away from a specific location, like viewing experience of something to like hint down the line. They do a really good job of setting things up as it goes. We'll cover that later. We get Mike and Saul in the room listening to the conversation, the garbage disposal, all the fun stuff. And then Walt decides to show up, but Ted's off. And like he throws the heaviest plant possible at the window trying to get in to talk to him. They haul him out. As soon as they haul him outside, Mike manhandles him and puts him in the car and drives him. They basically Walt asked the obvious question: how did you know where I was and where I was going to be? They say, are you bugging my house? He does. He attacks Saul. Saul's like, good luck wiring your money. I'm taking down the website. They go back to his house. Mike has to take down he goes out and takes the thing. He's like, good job. He's like, take those things out. These things, I just love the line with Mike, are $800. And you ain't that interesting. So like such like in your face thing. And he gives him a very ominous line before he leaves. I don't know if anybody else picked up on this. He goes, it's convenient to have somebody looking out for you, like watching your things, because without that, Mike's not at that house. Mike doesn't catch the two cousins with the axe, and he's dead right now. Like that's literally the setup. So I thought that was really interesting.
And he says that after he looks down and sees the drawing there in the road.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I thought that was super neat. Walt is staring off into school space, and then gets called to the principal's office, and then decides to try to make a move on the principal. And he no longer has a job, right? He lost his job. Yeah, that's called sexual harassment. We get a great Walt and Jesse moment in the car first. He's talking about cooking. He's doing that stuff. He's like, no, you're better at other things, until his ego comes into play. Because he shows him, because he's very confident in his product. Walt just tears him down and be like, this is inferior. It's crap. You're using my formula. That's my cook. Like and look, you can't even do that. You're embarrassing, Jesse. Like takes it really out. And he's like, I've told it to other people. Oh, you told other people? It's good. Interesting. Like, he just downplays them the entire time. Skylar and Ted are still having their romantic connection. I think one of the best police interrogations ever is Hank and that guy in the bandana. It's just like, using your brain fat. Because main conflict in this is Hank is, over this series of 4 episodes, Hank is supposed to go to El Paso. He is put in El Paso because he gets a call that there are it's blue around him still. He thought it was slowing down. It's not. Clearly the guy they arrested was not Heisenberg. So they're hunting it down. Him and his partner
Gomez
kind of have like a back and forth like situation, because he's like, because he's going to take El Paso, basically, right? That's the crux of the conversation. He's going to take El Paso, and he's like, no problem, bud. Like, they're like, Hank is slowly cracking. Like, Hank is not normal in these episodes.
And I think Gomez can see it, and he's kind of worried about Hank, and pretty much everyone's kind of worried about Hank. And it's not more the blue meth was his. It's more his just reason for not having to, his excuse for not having to go to El Paso, because deep down he really doesn't want to go and have to deal with all that again. So people are noticing that, and they're worried.
Basically, the rest of the episode is Mike meets with Gus. Because Jesse met with Saul about cooking for, like, doing the recipe and stuff like that. Mike and them talk about their whole situation because, again, there is Saul and Mike, and there is Mike and Gus, and they are not equivalent to each other. Mike has Gus's interest in more in line than Saul's. Basically, he's keeping things from Saul. Saul doesn't know everything. Hank finds the girl, interrogates her at the gas station, basically runs her down on that stuff overall, and then he can't tell him anything, but besides he has an RV, and he notices a camera. He's like, "Please tell me that's working." It's not working. So they get the car, and then he notices an ATM with a camera, and now he has where he can find the Winnebago he's looking for. Um, the episode ends. I don't. Okay, I know how it ends, but how Hank meets with his like higher up. What's that discussion about? About him trying to hunt down the crystal and him not going to El Paso?
Yeah, it's pretty much the El Paso needs the answer, like, "Are you coming?" And
Yeah,
he's pretty much, "I need to finish this case."
he needs to finish his case. Jesse gets paid for his money. He only gets half. And he's like, "Where's the other half, bitch?"
Mhm.
And then Walt is driving. The guy shows up behind him and chucks money into his window and says, "It's your half," and drives off. So like that's episode that's green light. And again, at this point, Walt has no clue why he got more money at this instance because what he doesn't believe is he told Jesse not to sell it. Jesse ended up going behind his back and selling it, and now this is the side. So again, these are going to be like a roller coaster until the final drop off of thing. But I think this is a good like we're cooking. We're building to something. What was your guys' thoughts on this episode?
Oh yeah, I mean this was a good episode. It really does a lot to kind of showcase Jesse and Walt in not really favorable lights. I think, like I said at the beginning, Jesse's a bad guy. He's
Okay.
potentially gonna get this girl hooked on meth because he doesn't have the cash to pay for his gas. I forgot about that. That kind of turned me off a little bit. But I love the whole Walt trying to confront Ted, and Skylar comes down like, "What are you doing?" "I'm talking with Ted." I just love that sequence. And then, of course, I think this is the first
Yeah, when
time.
he's like, "I'm talking dead. I can see that." What?
And I feel bad for Mike having to deal with all these children, pretty much having to deal with all this drama and stuff. He's a professional. He deserves better than this. He gets sucked into all of this. But yeah, it's a good episode. If there's one thing you learn from television, it's that cameras in convenience stores never work. They're always just for show. So
Because that
do with
would
that
be
information.
convenient if it did work. Everybody in the wire would have been caught by now. I promise you that. Mark, how did you take it? You're muted, or your mic doesn't work. You're actually not muted on StreamYard. I don't know what's going on with you. Now you're muted here.
Oh, there you
Oh,
Okay, there we go.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, this episode is better than I remember it. I was, I mean, because I just think it has just a lot of fun moments. There's not very looking back, there's not a ton of moments here where I think Bryan Cranston, I think, isn't Walt. Although for this little instant when he showed up at Ted's office, Hal from Malcolm in the Middle reared his head, and we saw all those years of him just having to be the goofy dad in that show. How he can just kind of play up that scene. And it's also fun to watch how, like, Mike doesn't like Walt from the get go. Both Walt and Mike hate each other from the very start.
Mike
I
can read people.
yeah, like he knows who Walt is. Like he sees it immediately, and it also rubs Walt the wrong way too. Like it, I I thought I feel like I remember that relationship festering like maybe over a smaller period of time. No, it's pretty immediate. And just lastly, Will Walt has done a lot of bad things in the show, and we will continue to see him do bad things. Although he does the most gangster shit in this episode ever by making the move on the principal. I mean, that is just. I mean, do we, maybe we can't applaud the man, but man, he just goes for it, and he really shouldn't have. I mean, what was
If
he
she
thinking?
can cheat, I can cheat too. It'll be easy.
It's wild. That is like one of the. I get like I'm pretty bad with secondhand embarrassment a lot. That's like one in the movie. I'm just like, I can just skip ahead. I know I've seen this train wreck before. Like, Walt, I don't mean to say this rudely, but you ain't got nothing that woman wants, buddy. Yeah, let me get this cancer-ridden like dad that's gonna die soon. Wild. Okay. I don't think anybody's in this one, right?
No.
Yeah, nobody's in this one. Okay. So next episode, is Moss. I think it's a very cool beginning episode. Where we get to see like the again dropping breadcrumbs as the show goes. It's always dropping breadcrumbs for you. This is where Walt and Jesse meet up early on in their partnership about buying the RV. He gives him like $4,700. Just goes buy it. What does Jesse do? Blows the cash on like strippers and like drugs and like everything. He's like, "Why do you give me this money? Because he's an idiot." Stupid thing. And Combo bails him out. Basically, he blows that money. He doesn't have any of it, and he ends up getting the money from. Combo has a RV. His mom has an RV. He gets the RV from it. That's basically where that starts. I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know if everybody else got this. Skylar and Ted had this moment. Skylar's like kind of like I think like battling inside with Ted and stuff, like the heated floors and all this extra stuff, but realizes like Ted is also breaking the law currently, and like she has two guys like yeah, oh, you have heated floors. You're also doing this because of corruption, like you're doing. Like it doesn't. It's a weird slippery slope. She has us kind of like back and forth like situation. Uh, Jesse calls Walt. Walt has to hide out in the closet and be like, "Where's my money, bitch?" He has no clue. He's like, "What are you talking about? Like your money?" And he like it turns on Walt. Like he turns on Jesse real fast. He's like, "What do you mean your money? Like that's my recipe." Basically throws it back in his face about that. Another moment that could have been in a Malcolm in the Middle episode, Hank's hanging out in a trailer court and like climbs on the top of a RV with a couple in their underwear playing strip poker, basically. Awkward situation for everybody there. So that was funny. Hank has to wait for the cops, but Hank and Marie have like a moment while he's in the shower, like, do you not want to go? Like all this stuff. Don't you have something to do? Get out of my face. Like he just the man ain't it ain't right up there. There's cracks forming. Actually there's done been cracked. Cool scene. Walt shows up at Gus's house. Gus's office, basically. He definitely does not know where Gus was. And like he's like, "What is this?" And he's like, "I think this is a ploy to get me to cook again." And he's like, "Jesse Pinkman, you vouched for him. Like, why wouldn't I?" He's like, and it's more or less than what I expect. More or less than what like he was offended that even Jesse got close to his recipe, which was the switch. Like, no. If someone's gonna cook it, I'm gonna cook it. Basically, is what he thought. And then So they have that little interaction. I know Skylar and Marie talk about something, but I'm not sure what they talk about on the phone with each other about. Hank, maybe?
Yeah, I think Hank. She was worried about him.
Worried about Hank. We see the Gus takes Walt to what he could have if he chose to jump in, which is he takes him to the lab. He takes him to the lab and shows him everything. He's like, I need 200 pounds a week for this to be financially viable. It's in the laundromat. The steam flies up. He's got it all set up. It's like this beautiful thing. This is him agreeing, right? Because he's seen this lab before, right?
No, this is the first time he's seen the lab.
Okay.
He's like a kid in the candy store, but at the end he still says the answer still
he still
no.
declines. He still declines. Which crazy. Like, I understand. Like, and the more I look back on this, since we've all seen this season before, these seasons before in the show before, how much more complex Walt makes everything for himself instead of just continuing what could have been like the easiest 3 months of your natural life. Like, no questions. He makes everything hard on himself. But he still tells him no in the thing. Skylar lets Walt basically the kid, like, it's like the first like moment of like, hey, you can be a father again. So Skylar the bitch is toying with Walt's heart. So that's what I'll leave that. Cooking meth, empire, putting family in danger. Skylar's still the biggest bitch of the series. Stand by that. His buddy is going to El Paso. He's sending, that was decided. Skylar finds the papers for the divorce
papers. Yeah, Walt
signed and the money, basically. And she goes back to her lawyer and talks and like, oh, let me tell this. And the lawyer is like the most honest person in the world. She's like, you're dating a drug dealer. You're get the hell out of the house now. Like, every day you're there, you're more and more an accessory to this, like, than you know. And then Jesse and Walt meet in the thing where Walt basically talking to Jesse it finally clicks in his head where he's going to take the cook. And he's like, I've got an offer. I'm going to make the offer. I'm going to do the job. You're not included, Jesse. Like, you're out. Enjoy the money you did make. And then Saul's like, how much was the offer? How much was the offer? He's like, $3 million, 3 months. All right, we'll just do our standard. 17 was a little steep. We'll do 15. 5, 15, 5, 10, 7. All right, 5. Wait, you're my lawyer. And then, of course, Jesse goes outside, takes a cinder block, and breaks Walt's window that he just got fixed. So, I think that the Walt moments in this episode are the stuff that I cling to the most. When he's sitting with Gus and he's like, the ego is bothering him about Jesse's cook. When he sits with Saul and he has the no emotion face staring at Jesse and be like, he'll like, I'll cook too. He's like, you can cook whatever you want. Just make sure it's that chili piece stuff because you ain't cooking my formula. So thought it was pretty cool. What was your guys' takes on Moss?
I thought this was probably the weakest of the 4 episodes. This one's kind of the one doing a lot of the setup stuff. It introduces the lab for the first time. Gus just knows how to play Walt so well. He gives him that great speech about a man provides for his family and stuff like that. So he pretty much knows all the buttons he needs to push on Walt. He had the idea to buy Jesse's money and split the money with him. So he pretty much figured out how to get Walt back into the business. So I thought that was really good. But yeah, like I said, this is a lot of setup stuff. It's enjoyable to watch and everything. But yeah, I thought it was the weakest of the 4.
I think we needed it, but overall, yes, it was. I think the RV story we could have found out earlier in the series, especially in season 2. I think we could have gotten again, they wanted 13 episodes. They had to put something there. There's your 13. Like, there's your one episode that you need to build a little bit more. That could have been an email. Some of it could have been an email. So, Mark, what was your takes?
Yeah, I kind of agree. Kind of a lot of setup stuff. Still good. I mean, like this. I think this is still. I'll take season 3 setup stuff over honestly season 2 setup stuff. The I think the one thing that I think just kind of also becomes more evident. We kind of said it here with Gus is that I I love watching Gus like in these episodes mainly because it is so clear that he is the smartest person in the room at this point. And he's the smartest person in the room at this point because he lets Walt think he's still the smartest person in the room. Like he lets him think that no, Walt has decided to come cook. Like no, like Gus is doing all this bullshit. Like he knows how to stroke that ego just the right way just to get what he wants.
No.
Yep. I agree. Like Gus is playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers. We see that like how he sets different things up, which we definitely get into the next episode, which is Sunset. Pretty much creepy first 3 minutes of the show. Cop gets called, go investigate a murder or a missing, like hasn't heard from his mom in a while. Basically a wellness check. He goes, he finds a dead body there. He goes to the door. Well, one of the cousins come out holding an apple, and he's like, "Go on your knees, get a thing." And then, gosh, the sound effect they do with that axe is so like how it sounds like it's slicing through your ear, like you hear it right up near your ears. And he takes the cousins take another body. I don't know what their kill count is right now, but good lord, they are just mowing people down at this point.
They probably got the second most kills on the show so far after James Dad.
Yeah, I'm kind of. Don't mean to derail us, but did we get an exact count of everybody in that truck that they blew up?
Yeah, it was. I think 11 people.
11. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. James' dad is still lead with 167. But
oh yeah, James' dad is MVP. No one's going to surpass him.
James' dad just knew exactly what he was doing, or what he wasn't doing. Okay. So that's how that one opens, and then it basically goes into Walt and Jesse and Skylar talking about like the divorce papers, and goes, "You know best," blah blah. Because he's gonna cook. Like he's like, F it, like there's no way for me to do this anymore. Like you want this, I'm fine with it. Let's just do it. He's in like an apartment place while he's standing there, and she's like, you want to take over this, and this, like list all the stuff for child support. He's like, yes. No, not with that money. If you do that, we're all like we're a part of this just as much as you are. And then he's like, how do you think we paid our bills for the last 6 months, Skylar? And Skylar shuts up real fast because she has no comment on that one. Yep.
It's arguably the dumbest she's been over the show. Like, what do you think we've been doing here, man? Like,
You've been wait. Have you dropped off checks? Have you been doing the payments? Like, I don't think so. Walt kind of flexes his power. The guy comes in. He goes, "Yeah, we have 3 more of these things. Yeah, I'll take this one." No, this is the one for the viewing. He's like, tell me anything that's not negotiable with for money. And he's like, okay. So
he's got smart. Saved him a lot of time going and buying furniture and stuff. So
yeah, doesn't have to do that. Which he doesn't.
I bet the bed is not comfortable though.
He doesn't have Jesse because if this was season 2, he'd send Jesse to go buy him furniture and he'd come back on a fucking futon. Like, Walt would be sleeping on a futon right now. So he buys that. Gus is at the restaurant and the cousins show up. We kind of get a break from that real quick. Jesse is showing off his meth to Badger, and
Skinny Pete.
Druggies will be druggies and just start freaking out. Hank is parked outside the house. He's waiting for Jesse to go to the RV. That's what he knows. It's with him at this point. He's the last person with it. He knows it's with Jesse. So he's waiting for that, which is like a creepy thing. Walt gives Walt Jr. a drive to school with a new windshield again. Glad he got it done. Basically, what we're all picking up on, which we'll get clarifying, the cousins are waiting for Gus to give the go ahead with something, because basically they're trying to kill Walt. We've learned that from early in the season. He stopped them from killing it, delaying the stuff, but the cousins are going to kill Walt. Like, that is their goal. And so they're now basically stalking him at his restaurant, like saying, like, time's up. Like, tell me what we're doing. Which I think is a really cool like setting, and how he keeps his like lives so separate. Like his employees, like, oh, should we ask him to leave? Like all this stuff, like doesn't realize those two motherfuckers don't look like guys that come eat fried chicken, guys. Those guys look like serial killers. So I thought that was really funny. Walt shows up to his first day, makes his little OCD peanut butter and jelly, gets all set, and goes and starts his cook, and meets one of the interesting characters of the show, Gail. If Walt doesn't seem like he belongs in meth, Gail definitely isn't. That Gail is not your meth head guy. They're talking about like how the cook is, and like they're cooking coffee, and they're like working so well together, and everything's just balanced and copacetic. Which, again, I want to know your guys' two reactions when you first watched Breaking Bad and this part came up. Even what I know in my head, this is not going to work. I just got that vibe instantly, regardless of what the situation was, because how Gail and Walt were it just doesn't seem like they can work together. Like, it's too clean. That's just where my take was. I was like, so I guess because of what I know of the show, even leading into it, I was like, this is Breaking Bad. If he's got a perfect partner working with him, where's the tension that's going to come with this? So I never got the attention like Gail's going to be the savior. I don't know. What were your guys' or did you guys like buy into it?
I mean, I think that they were working good together. I feel that Walt's it was almost the beginning of a little bromance forming because he had somebody he could talk to. He made the world's greatest coffee. I think that if everything would have worked out fine and Walt would have done his 3 months for $3 million with Gail and then just gone their separate ways, I think it could have worked out pretty well. But of course, Walt being Walt, I'm sure Gail probably would have said the wrong thing at some point that would have messed with Walt's fragile ego, and it probably would have blown up. But I think they could have worked out together if circumstances didn't arise that made it not possible.
No, I think they could have. The show just doesn't seem like how this show is going.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, there's no way this lasts. I think they would have been.
Yeah.
They would have been working till they both retired or he died. Like there was nothing going to stop them. It just felt like this is too good to be true for Breaking Bad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it kind of ties into like kind of what we were talking about, like whenever we talked about Jesse and kind of how Walt views Jesse. Like Walt doesn't really want an equal around him, and that's who Gale is. Like Gale is, and he doesn't make as good a meth as Walt does, and he's not like as smart as Walt, but he's pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
He
he's
looks
somebody
like he could be a replacement for Walt.
Sure, like, and I think even though Walt will appreciate a couple times hanging out with him, like he doesn't want to spend the majority of his time with Gale because eventually he sees Gale for who he is, which just bugs Walt. I was kind of with you on that too. Like even though, again, like my brothers had watched this show before, and I kind of knew what was going to happen later on, it was still like, yeah, this is never like just kind of reading, just seeing it from the beginning. Yeah, this isn't going to fucking work. Like just
He also
Walter's
like
not interested in having a guy like Gale around.
while they're cooking the first time, Walt like does odd pauses and like looks at him different ways. Like you just feel him not comfortable with Gale being as efficient as Gale is.
Mm-hmm.
Because he wants somebody to boss around, and Gale's doing everything he's supposed to do correctly, and that just doesn't sit right with Walt.
It doesn't make Walt feel as special because
Correct.
Walt can't come in and save everything and tell him, oh, that's not how you do it. Here, let me show you how to do it the right way. Be better.
We get the best, like, the trope in movie and TV ever is when a cop's on a stakeout. How do you tell them how long they've been there? Pile of food wrappers next to them shows us how long they've been sitting there. Marie's like wondering, like, is he going to be back or whatever? Walt gets a call from Hank and says, "Hey, do you know if Jesse Pinkman has used to sell you weed? Do you know he has an RV?" Jesse's like, Walt's like, "Why?" He's like, "Oh, I'm just looking for it. I think he's selling crystal now." Like, blah blah. Oh, hangs up. Picks up the phone to call Jesse. Hangs up. Calls Saul. Tells him what he's saying, and then Saul's like, "Don't you have a contingency plan? What are you doing?" He's like, "We have to destroy it." Well, then destroy it. Do you know how big it's like it's recreational size? It's big. You can't just break it. So Walt finds out where he's storing it. He goes to the guy, and it's the difference in the need. Like he shows up and basically like demands the respect. Like everybody's like, "You're going to help me, or everybody's going fucking down with me." Like, and he's like, "Okay, we'll get this all day." Well, Badger calls Jesse. Jesse flies out of the house. Hank's following him. So now the cat, like he's going to the situation. Well, before that, like once he leaves, we do get a shot back to Gus and the cousins at the restaurant for one more time. Basically, it was like, "I'll meet you guys." Like he basically there's going to be a conversation later between the two of them.
At sunset.
Jesse gets it's sunset. Jesse gets to the RV. Like he gets there, he's talking to the guy. He's like, "I need this destroyed. I'll be out of here in a second. Just do that." Jesse flies in, opens the door. Walt goes, "Oh no!" And it's one of the coolest moments because he's like, "You let him write to us." Who opens the thing? Hank Schrader is right outside this RV with Walt and Jesse both inside of it. Walt couldn't let it just go because it has all of his fingerprints all over this thing. He's going to be known real quick of it. So Hank comes out, starts like trying to pry his way in. He gets a crowbar out. He goes through it, and then I don't know who that character actor is. He's been in some other stuff, but he's the runner of the place, and he's like, "What do you do? What are you doing?" And he's like, do you have a warrant? I don't need a warrant. This is a traffic stop. That's a domicile, actually. Blah blah. Gives him all this like spiel. He's like, "Well, I have to have probable cause. I know there's probable cause because these bullet holes," and starts taking the tape off and knows there's bullet holes. Walt tells Jesse to say, "How did you know they were there before you took the tape off?" So basically, he's going back and forth. All they're trying to do is get him to get a warrant. He ends up doing that whole situation, and then Jesse's like, "This is my private domicile, and I don't want to be bothered, bitch." Which Walt does not know to do it. He's like, "You want your warrant? Fine, I'll get your warrant." And he sits in the car. Walt gets on the phone call, calls Saul. Saul gets his receptionist or whatever to call Hank. Same reason, I've been in a terrible wreck. You need to get to the hospital. Leaves. They're able to destroy the situation. Hank gets to the hospital, can't find Marie anywhere, calls, Marie's fine. And the slow shot of Hank realizing, and then the undercam like to his face was bone chilling. Like we thought Hank was losing it. Hank has officially snapped. Like Hank's gone. He is gone. Um, they end up doing like a great little like rendition, like the Spanish song comes on, and they're like just destroying in the RV while Hank's like nowhere to be found, and like he spent this entire time, gave up things to destroy it, and then very end of the episode, Gus meets with the cousins, and he goes, "Walter White did not kill Tuco. DA agent Hank Schrader killed him. Go after him." Like basically gives him the green light to go after Hank. So basically now has turned the attention from the Walt to save Walt and put it on Hank, which Walt has no clue. Walt does not know the cousins exist at this point. He's been saved from them and hasn't seen them, so he doesn't know how his life. I don't know how he would have took the news from Walt being the Hank being the fall guy, but I think this is a great episode. I think this is a fantastic, especially the lead into them being at the same place. Like that's the closest Walt has ever went to getting caught, and he's given Hank multiple times, like $500,000 in cash, like stole all the beaker stuff out of the thing. Like he's been there numerous times.
Oh.
How many more clues does Hank need to be like, this might be my fucking brother-in-law? Fucking weird. So what was your guys' take on that?
Yeah, I mean, this is a fantastic episode. I mean, it starts out with, like I said, that amazing opening. Gets us 2 more bodies for our kill count. You got Badger's Lord of the Dance sequence, which I thought was really funny. Of course, it introduces a Gale, who's going to be a prominent character for a little bit. So I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, the whole sequence, though, RV is just one of the best of the show. It's got one of my favorite shots of the show when Hank is peeling the duct tape and you see the sunshine coming at Walt, like bullet holes just appearing on him. I just love that shot. It's amazing. Yeah. So the great episode.
Yeah, I agree. Like it's, I mean, it just has one of the best. Like the Hank almost catching Walter and Jesse in that moment is one of the best moments of the show. It's equal parts thrilling and funny. Like it's both those like great in the show, and how it resolves itself is incredible, and also how what it leads to eventually. And then I think it's one that I honestly think it's one that honestly kind of makes me forget about also like the cousins part, because I remember that moment. I honestly don't remember a lot, usually a lot of all the cousin stuff, that really good cold open, and them just being like the creepiest people ever. Like I get Gus wanting to keep this under wraps, but how does like not everybody in the restaurant like, hey, they're 2 guys who, they got skulls on their boots and they're in suits and they're sitting in the same booth at this restaurant. Like they're
Not
not
ordering
doing anything illegal, but like they're creepy as hell. Like, can you guys do something?
Yeah, can you get your boys? I 100% think like this episode's really good. This next episode I think is the best episode of the show to this point, in my opinion. I think it's great. I think I can understand arguments for other things. This is just my one. Like if you weren't hooked on the show, that's one thing. But like when you're fully invested in all these characters, 1 minute is like it's the final wick of the powder keg. Like it takes the show there's no returning. Like we're gone. Like we have literally a cartel hit that happens in this like thing. Like that's literally what ends up happening. So episode opens with 1 minute. We get a flashback to the cousins as children, And Bell guy, what's his name?
Hector Salamanca.
Hector.
Yeah. I just
He
had
basically
Uncle
is
Ding
like,
Dong.
they're fighting or whatever. He's like, I hate him. I want to kill him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he does that. I want to kill him. And then he goes, give me a drink, a cold one, and basically holds one of the brothers underwater and just like, and
That's what you
then
wanted?
waits for the kid to punch him in the face, basically, to show like he'll fight for his brother's life, which I think is like a really cool, like cold. They're so good with their cold opens. Like it just, they do a really well job. Then Jesse returns home. Somebody is there. Like he gets in the house, and then Jesse's like, "You're gonna go for it. Like you can't do anything." Blah blah. Hank beats the fuck out of him. Beats the living fuck out of him. Just beats the shit out of him. Leaves him basically for dead. Like just snaps. Jesse, like the makeup and everything. They look at him like, "Holy shit." Jesse. Jesse has got Saul in there, and he's talking to him. Walt shows up, and he's like, "I'm taking everything from that fucker. Like I'm going to piss on his fucking grave. Like he's done. Like he has no remorse for it." And Walt's like, "Dude, like I get that you're angry. Like I want to help you." Hank meets with the DEA, like his agents and all the stuff, and talks about like what happens. They want him to take off the stuff on his knuckles to see it. Like, let me see your hand. Just, boom, just beat up hand. Him and Marie, like he's reflecting with all this shit, like what's going on. Hank and Marie leave the thing. Skylar shows up at Walt's apartment. I don't really remember what they talk about per se.
I think talking about like the stuff with Hank and stuff.
Yeah, the Hank shit. Yeah. Hank,
You
that we're
need to
gonna like
protect him. He's your brother. He's like,
we're gonna
not,
need to
not
help
at the
him.
moment.
Yeah, like she basically.
You get Jesse to drop the charges.
Yeah.
She thought that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I need you to contact Jesse to come. What? Okay, sure. No problem, pal. That ends up happening. Walt shows up to the lab and like starts cooking with the situation. Cousins add some more people to the body count. They meet this random dude selling shit out of the back of his truck. And these are two dudes that you just feel comfortable with. How do you do that job with no backup? Like whatsoever. They end up selling them like wants to sell them like bulletproof vests. They pull out a gun.
Do they work?
Shoot him to see if it works.
Well,
He broke my rib.
And after the guy gave him a bullet on the house too. That's so rude.
Yeah, and then they end up he's still alive though, right? They didn't kill him.
The vest worked, so they flip him like maybe $500 or $600 and then just leave with the two vests.
It's crazy that they just let him live. Like, why wouldn't they just continue their reign of terror? Like, that doesn't make sense.
They're businessmen too, so
sure.
He didn't sell.
I mean, it's not like the guy's gonna go to the cops. I was trying to sell illegal weapons and these guys shot me.
Right. I think up to this point, Aaron Paul's best acting performances in this episode, where basically he sits down with him, he's like, I'm deciding to cook like 50-50 part, like you and I. It's like, I don't want anything to do with you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it isn't about the money. It has nothing to do. I don't want anything to do with you. Everything since you entered my life has made my life fucking hell. I don't want anything to do with you.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, like, honestly, his best performance that he's given up to this point.
Mm-hmm.
He ends up calling, Walt leaves, he ends up calling, he goes 50-50. He's like, yes, 50-50. He's like, okay. So he agrees to be 50-50 partners with this. Hank tells his honest retelling of the situation. He's like, are you sure you want to give that statement? He's like, yes, that's the statement I would like to give. So then they take his gun and they suspend him without pay because of the situation. he is going to the he's going to the elevators, and his boss stops him and goes, "I don't know what happened, but Jesse's not not pressing charges."
Mhm.
He's like, "I don't know, maybe you got somebody looking out for you," like basically, and lets him go. Hank goes to like the convenience store to buy flowers. He's like, "Hey, I'll just talk to you when I get home, but we got some good news." He sits in his car, and then he gets the call, and he says, "You got two guys are coming to kill you in 1 minute." And then the
Coming.
clock and the shots and the look around, and what a perfect spot, like, also to like pick this place, like convenience store, so like grocery store, so multiple people moving around, multiple through cars, you don't know what is what. um you have that tension, and then Hank sees one coming, and then the one's coming up behind him. He basically slams the car in reverse, chops basically the dude in half on the car, and then gets into just a brutal exchange with the other guy. Um, Ends up getting shot like 3, 4 times, like in the
Mhm.
chest and areas, and he's dying basically. He still has a gun, he still has a one bullet basically, and he's like, "No, this is too easy." He leaves, he goes and gets the axe. You hear that just axe sliding across the concrete.
Mhm.
He goes to pick it up, bloody hands, puts the thing, clocks it, blows his brains right out of those things, and Hank's left dead, like dying on the street. And uh that's how the episode ends. Fucking brutal. uh I think this is like the first, like, everything that we've seen, like, death wise and stuff, it's always been like immediately, it's always been like automatic. This is like a drug out scene, and I think like
Mhm.
the 1 minute factor of it makes it so tense. What were your guys' takes on 1 minute? Mark, I know did not want to wait a week for 1 minute, so you must feel very similar to me that this is a fantastic episode.
Yeah, it'd be really weird if I just came out. Yeah, this episode sucks.
I just wanted to get it over with.
I wanted to bring 1 minute because I want to tell you how much this movie show is fucking overrated, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. I love this episode. It's 100%. It's 100% the best episode of this show up until this point, and it's honestly maybe one of the best episodes of TV ever. Like, it's
Yeah.
absolutely incredible from start to finish. It it hooks you right away. It has probably one of the best character moments with Mike in the sorry, Hank. I meant Hank. With Hank in the middle, where he has that heart to heart with Marie about just coming clean with the whole thing, being truthful with how, like, he's been unraveling for the last month or so, and how he doesn't want to go down lying about what happened. He doesn't want to sully himself with trying to score, like, weasel his way out of what he did to Jesse. And honestly solidifying that, of at least the main players, Hank is probably the only good, like, honest, noble person of the crew. And I love how it culminates into this moment that even though we started off hating Hank, we have like we kind of like him in this moment because he's the one person when he's confronted with a choice to do the good or the bad thing, he chooses the good thing even though it will probably cost him his career.
Mhm.
And then we immediately follow that with that amazing scene with Jesse and Walt, which is, again, one of the best moments of that character, is the best moments of Jesse's character. And I mean, it's probably the best acting scene I think Aaron Paul will do with the show. I would stand. I would probably plant my flag on that. just him just going complete ape shit in that moment is crazy, and you just feel
We'll have to put
that-
a pin in that because I don't off the top of my head I don't disagree, but I'm curious to see if there's one other scene that he does.
There's only one
It's
I
the
can
most-
potentially think of, but yeah,
I think
it's
there's
gonna be
one
hard to
more,
top.
but I don't like. Up until that point, Aaron Paul, Jesse, has been one note. He showed emotion with Jane, but it's almost like a shell-shocked emotion. This is the first time he's ever showed emotion, like, besides anger. Like, it's anger, but it's almost like, my life was fine till you showed up. And everything since I've seen you is like Black Death. Like, you're bringing everything bad to me. Combo's dead. Jane's dead. I'm the most miserable I've ever been. Like, yeah, I think it was like a thing, and it helped with his like half of his face was working. Like,
it's the first time we feel just how broken Jesse really is
yeah,
at this time. And then and then the last 10 minutes are just it's amazing. It's incredible. Like it's
that was just 1 minute.
yeah. It's well, yeah, you know. It's some of the best we'll ever see. Some of the best moments we'll ever see in television. It's peak tension action. It's if you weren't and you said it earlier, Cody, if you were not sold on this show up until this point, I don't see how you stopped after this episode. I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you was like, yeah, I'm just in for the rest of the time. I don't know.
Matt.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with just about everything you guys said. This is a fantastic episode. I love the cold open with the young cousins and the uncle. I think that does a great bit of establishing their characters and how they kind of grew to become the men that they did, and kind of shows a little bit more of the uncle, since pretty much all the other times we're seeing him, all he could do is sit in a chair and ding his bell. So it was interesting to kind of see what he was like before he was in the chair. Like we said, Jesse in the hospital is something that's some amazing performance. You get Walt being the douchebag that he is, just trying because he has to get Gail out of there, so he's going to make it look like he's incompetent, which is some bullshit. But I mean, that's what Walt does.
Oh yeah, this is this episode, right? When he yells at him about, I said this. He's like,
I said this. It's like, no. We just wasted all of this. And then he calls Gus. Is like, this isn't going to work out. I can't get him. But you know who I do have that we have a good rapport
has
with
never
one
screwed
another.
up a thing in his life. Bring me Pinkman. It's like a coach in baseball is like goes to the reliever. Give me the guy with the 9 ERA. Let's go.
And then of course
this game is too out of control. Bring him in.
Then of course the whole the 1 minute sequence is just amazing. I mean, the only things I got on here that you guys didn't say is pretty much when Hank's shooting him like 3 or 4 times and he's not stopping. Maybe that's when you go for his head, like you did with Tuco. But and then of course the cousin, when he's got him down there on the ground and he could have finished it off, is like, no, bullet's too easy, too good for you. It reminded me so much of Game of Thrones with the Mountain and the Viper with that fight. Where all you gotta do is finish him off, but no. And it's gonna come back to bite you in the ass. So, but yeah, fantastic episode, definitely. And that whole 1 minute sequence is probably the best so far in the show.
Dead.
Yeah,
Dead.
That gun dealer got his revenge at the end.
Oh yeah, he gave him that one bullet. That's all it took.
I did misspeak earlier. We've got 6 more episodes. I said 3. I don't know why I said 3. We have 6 more. And you're talking about we just left off on this one. I can't wait for the bone chilling, just roaring conversation when we in next week's episode on The Fly. That's just like, if you thought 1 minute was like tension, we're gonna follow a fly around a meth lab for an hour. with 2 characters. That's the bottle episode
yeah.
this season where Jesse and Ollie feature. Overall, season 3, like if season 1 or season 2 was this season has been complete. Like it's a perfect season of TV for me right now. I have no issues up until this point. There's things that I wish I got more of, things I could get less of, but overall, like the cohesive story that they are telling me, all time. So we'll see how good.
Once you get to the Gus storyline, this show just goes for that whole like 2.5 season stretch is just some of the best television.
So let's go to a show that did not stick its season finale very well whatsoever for me. We're going to Oz. I want to start before we even talk about either episode. I sent in our group chat. We have a group chat for the show where we have 3 active members and 2 people that show up occasionally, and 1 that's never showed up. He's our social guy. I put in the chat. So there's been an ongoing feud in this show, in this show's history. We've done 9 episodes of this together. Me and D'Angelo's death, that's started a new war. We're pretty angry about on that one. Mike and our hatred for Oz. No bigger rivalry, I would say, up into the show is Mark Menchaca and Augustus Hill's narrations for this show. I sent in the group chat. You thought you were upset with Augustus Hill's narrations in the past. This is one they knew Mark Menchaca was going to watch it because they went bad shit on this one. Was this the most ridiculous narrations that have ever? Like, Mark, I gotta get your opinion. Don't tell me about any of the episode. Tell me your thoughts on you seeing Schillinger in a Greek robe, and like them being superheroes and them singing carols together. It's crazy.
I mean, I guess like they just couldn't let Harold Perrineau have all the fun. I mean, we had to get Schillinger like in his toga. We had to dress Beecher up as a superhero, and I guess sure we had to get like a freaking Maloney in the business suit and also like in some lingerie. Sure, whatever. I mean, and it culminated perfectly into him sitting there in like his like New Year's baby outfit. Like, what the fuck are we doing? They put a grown man in a goddamn diaper. Like what? And there's like, hey, talk about rats or whatever. Like what? What are we doing here? Like, what? Why is this here? Let's just be the prison show. Like, why do we have to have here and just say a bunch of weird shit? It infuriated me every time we made the transition into a narration. Like and again, like honestly, like for the most of this, except for we're gonna get to it. I enjoyed my time with these 2 episodes, but every time we fucking went back here, I'm like, oh my god, I hate you. I hate this character so much. He's the worst character we've had to talk about for all these 3 shows, bar none. Like I don't think I'm not changing my opinion on that whatsoever.
You hate Augustus Hill that much?
I hate the narration part of this so much. I cannot stand it. It's the fucking worst.
So this is a problem with me in television shows. I hate when shows use their season finale to set up future seasons. Like, I get if this is going to be an overarching story, you can do that and still give me a episode to satisfy me of this moment. It doesn't have to be the most over the top thing. It doesn't have to be the thing. Just, I need your drama. I need some drama to carry me to want me to watch season 4 of this. This is the most blue ball 2 episodes I have went through on Oz at all. We've had a fucking riot, and their tonal shifts annoy the piss out of me in this show. You can't just wake up one episode and now, guess what? We're going to do a race war, which is fine if that's your subject matter. How you haven't had one yet? I'm confused. There's literally the Aryan brother race. Like, you've had the material this entire time. They hate everybody but the whites. So what? So they do these 2 episodes where there's kind of the build up of this overall arc. So and they newsflash, they don't pay it off at the end of this episode. We just have to wait. And you know how good Oz is from going from season to season to paying off arcs? Remember? Augustus Hill was in a coffin. We've never seen him get out of the fucking coffin. But
see,
we've
what
seen
happened
his
was
ass
he
roll.
implicated in that coffin. This whole season is when a dream sequence.
He is he's not in it very much. So we'll go through we'll do the talk. The arc that everybody needed. Keller and Sister Pete. Sister Pete missing Keller and wants to fuck Keller and leave the congregation and like that shit and like the awkward moment inside the cell. Listen, this is an Academy Award winning actress. I do not need to see her trying to fuck Keller. Like, if that's a scene that comes down the line that I don't remember, I'm out on Oz. You guys might have to finish it out. Rita Moreno, I don't need to see her get down by Keller.
Are you sure?
So that. Go ahead.
I mean, I don't know, man. Speak for yourself. I mean, like she's sitting there wanting to get sexed up by baloney. That's peak television.
I mean, especially if he's in the lingerie. Yeah.
Move over 1 minute. We got this shit. Alvarez has that gripping conversation with the blinded couple that. You know, the good thing is we care so much about this guy that's blinded because we know so much about his character arc, right? Like, we learned so much about his family and his history and everything that we needed to know before he went blind. No, we don't know any of that, so who the fuck do we care? Like, we've seen COs get stabbed, brutalized, murdered, beaten down. Yep. We're supposed to care about this thing. I'm going to newsflash to you guys. I don't care. I understand he's blind. I understand that sucks. But to go to a murderer and say, hey, how do you feel? Fuck off. He stabbed the dude. He can't give him his eyes back.
I mean, the poor guy's already in a tough spot because he's in an Alvarez storyline. So, I mean, that's not going to do anybody.
Yeah, and you want to know where people's characters go to die if they're surrounded by fucking Alvarez. Right up there with McManus of people that could just hit death row tomorrow, and I'd be okay with it. Like, get them out of here. Alvarez, that situation happens. She talks about leaving the congregation. Warden is talking with because Warden finds out who got with his daughter, right?
That's the next episode.
Okay, that's the next episode. He's interrogating the Hispanics right now, right? Over
the
drugs?
Drugs, yeah.
About the drugs.
Yeah.
The drugs that they got caught with. His sister shows up.
Ricardo.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, who absolutely... The guy that has people show up every week that one people drop off. Sister drops off a mail that she has to give to him. And then isn't that when we get the narration about the oldest letter in Oz? And like... Yeah. And they just threw it in the trash. Like, I don't fucking care. Like,
she gave it to McManus. McManus had one job to get this letter to the guy, and he fucks it up.
Yeah, McManus can't follow through. He's like, oh, I gotta return some videotapes.
Yeah, because he's in the hole. She's got a job in another state, so she doesn't want him to think that she just abandoned him like everyone else.
So he gives it to the most like Aryan cops, like the whitest cops possible that hate Hispanics. Like, good job, McManus. Of all your, remember when he sat there with the other guy? He goes, "I'm not stupid." Like, I always like when they sit there about the other Aryan guy, and they're like, "Hey, he's dangerous. Listen, I know. I'm not stupid. You're the dumbest motherfucker possible."
He can't take those extra 20 steps. He's probably going to try to have a date with like a female janitor or something on the staff. Who knows?
Yes. The warden. Who's that lady that shows up with bitch boy cop? Is that his mother?
Yeah, it's his mother.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're back on the storyline. Daddy died, and sad day, and all the bullshit. Like, who cares?
Yeah, it was maybe the warden's fault, and we'll get past.
Yeah. They all have cake together. There's always thing, and then you know what? I love it. I love it. Why do we have to have cake in the library where the other inmates can just walk in? Because we need drama and we need a storyline and we need something interesting. They're in a fucking break room with the cake. Why would you not eat the damn cake in the break room?
Then it's not a
here comes
surprise.
O'Reilly. And then dipshit cop pulls out his baton, whacks Diane right in the fucking head with it, and like now he has to meet with the officer. Like, he fires him, doesn't he?
He gets fired in the next episode.
Yeah.
Oh, he fires him next. Sorry, I'm jumping. Oh, he tells him the story of how his dad died because he was there. He was the other CO at the time, and the Shank came in because he was his warden. The warden was the hot-tempered one that couldn't. Hey, look! I see myself in you. Let's stop hitting female officers in the head with batons. Like, don't be a dumbass. Like, these guys are in here for murder. You're not. So he ends up having that conversation. We get a flashback of how the person died, all the situation. Diane's got a nice little, she's been whacked inside the head. McManus, perfect time. Hey, let me try to dick down Diane one more time. Like, let me try to take her on a date. Let's try to date again. Like, this is a great idea.
Perfect time.
But yeah, third time's a charm. Fucking Napa. What a storyline there. He finishes his book. His secretary types it up. They're gonna have dinner. Basically sends the floppy disk right to floppy disk also like the old school. It's always fun seeing technology from the past. You're like, what the fuck?
I'm surprised they didn't need two to fit his whole book on there.
Yeah, right. Must have been a low crime. I'll be honest with you. He must have not done enough. It gets in the hands of that big bastard, big Italian. He ends up breaking it, crushing the thing, and then they end up killing Napa. Get him wine, get all the stuff, and basically drugs him, puts a pillow over his head, and night.
Probably
He's gonna die.
The sweetest murder of Oz.
Yeah, get another kill count though, but he dies.
Yeah.
Smother him with the pillow. Adebisi and Warden and this is where is this when they pin McManus?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kenny Wrangler, yeah.
Wrangler's dick got touched by McManus. McManus can't even drop off a letter. Where the hell's he grabbing someone's wiener? Like, what are we doing here? Like, whatever. Of course, McManus is doing. They're going to the media with it. They do the whole thing about Warden just has no he fucking up you fucked everything in here and I didn't say a word, but I thought I should have. You think?
I let your other sexual harassment slide, but this is too far.
They're grabbing inmates. They bring in the media tries to interview McManus. Acts as calm as he always has been. He doesn't flip out and doesn't scream at the camera and look like a psychopath. Oh wait, no, he does, because that's how he interacts with every interaction ever. He flies off the handle. They move Wrangler out of Gen Pop, which good for Wrangler because he's just gonna continue to get abused by Adebisi. So good thing you're gone. So it's benefit. McManus, sexual assault, all that stuff. What's the smartest decision in the world? He's going to spend one-on-one time with the only female prisoner in the cell and talk to her about the stuff, and she confesses killing her son, everything. That's the first time she ever says it out loud. Does all that shit. Talks about the hitting, the
How she's gonna die.
How she wants to die. She wants that. There's got to be pain involved or something. They're all having like a meeting, and isn't that when oh, he comes in and says like she's pregnant.
She's
Like,
pregnant.
I think it's just crazy.
Like, but man, if you saw her for one time and she's already pregnant.
Right. Yeah, right. And he'll get blamed for it. He's going down like 100%. He's going down. With all this shit happening, they're wanting to call off the fight, the boxing match. They don't want that to happen. Cyril like tries to almost get into a fight. They end up like having the boxing match like still.
That's the next episode. They had a boxing match in this one.
Yeah, they had.
Oh, they had the boxing match in this
They
one?
had a boxing match, but not the one with Cyril. It was
Yeah.
the one
Who was it with?
Khan and the gay guy.
Gay guy, yeah.
Gay guy. Yeah. Okay, that is true. Khan won by split decision, right?
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was split decision.
Yeah.
Adebisi and Saeed like have a conversation about like what do they talk about in their cell? I know he goes to him. I don't remember what they said. Did any of you guys remember?
It's kind of like Saeed sees Adebisi trying to rile everybody up, and he sees him talking with the Muslim group and everything, and he pretty much lets him know to leave everyone be, sort of thing. Adebisi's like, ha 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 ha. No.
Yeah. And then basically there's a hit out on Saeed. He like strips down and does this entire like screaming in the middle of the cell after him and
apologizes to the
yeah.
one guy,
And then Saeed tells Beecher that he needs to apologize and forgive. So he forgives Keller. And then he goes to Schillinger and says, like, I apologize. You think that's sorry for what I played in your son's death. He's like, you think that's going to work? You think that's work? And then he's like, the only thing will work is when you're dead. And they go to try to kill him. Beecher gets stabbed in the back. Keller stabs Schillinger. Saeed does not get stabbed. Basically how the episode ends, right?
Yep.
Episode sucked. I'm just gonna be trying. I don't care. Like, I understand. Like, we're setting up this. Like, now all of a sudden, we've been here for. I don't know. One person. I was gonna write this down, but I forgot it because somebody says something that this was like 4 years ago. Like, 4 years have passed in this jail at this point in time.
Well, this is the third season, so yeah.
And now we have a problem with everybody's skin color. Okay.
Well, I think that it's always there under the surface, but I think Adebisi.
Why is it a big deal? Why do we have to make a big deal? Because we already used police riot in season 1.
Well, this is just Adebisi's going around trying to rile stuff up and cause the.
That's kind of why I like it, just because Adebisi's just going around just kind of fucking with people.
Yeah.
Like it is funny to see where Adebisi started. It was like, oh, I'm gonna be a good Adebisi now. Like, I'm not gonna do anything, and now he's starting to race war. Like, I think it's nuts. Like, just how far Adebisi's gone from like the first episode to now.
Yeah.
Bad guy. Adebisi, bad guy.
Not the best.
But like the apologizing to Beecher because now he's gonna accept him. I don't care. I want Beecher to be crazy. See, they neutered Beecher, and the season just went downhill. He found God and got sober, and I'm out. Overall thoughts on this episode, Mark? Of course, the episode that I hate about Mark's like, sounds bad. He fucking comes in here like Robert De Niro, like, yeah, pretty good.
I don't know, like, it just. I honestly kind of like the Alvarez stuff. I've honestly kind of liked Alvarez throughout this season, at the very least, because like he's just in just the worst.
You liked
spot
Alvarez?
this season. This season, I think he's had a good arc this season, just because like he's basically a person who's all alone on an island, but he also can't maneuver like O'Reilly. So like he doesn't really know what to do. He wants to confess, but he can't confess. And he also he he just doesn't know what to do. And it culminates, I think, pretty well, at least into this episode, where he really wants to tell this cop, like, hey, I don't have a problem with you, but I was kind of put in a corner. But he still can't. Like he just can't help but just kind of like fuck himself over in that instinct. I like that. Honestly, I made my thing clear about the BC race war stuff. Like I just find that nuts. And even though, yeah, kind of stupid, but I gotta tell you, I'm entertained as hell by the Sister Pete Keller possible romance. Like it just like it at the very least, I think even at the show's worst, especially this season, it's fun. Like I think Oz is at least fun at this point. And yeah, even though it's like tied to a character I don't really give a shit about, like I kind of love again Adebisi convincing Wangler like, hey, tell everybody that McMahon is sexually assaulting you. Like, okay, like great, let's get McManus out of here. Like maybe he'll get arrested. Sounds great.
I support that plan. Let's get McManus out of here. Yeah, I mean, this episode it was kind of setting up for the season finale. It kind of bringing some sort of
season finale?
I'm kind of with Matt on this one. So
I mean, I'm not as far as Mark, and we're both probably not as far as Mike is. If he had been here, I'm sure he would have interesting things to say.
Setting up season 4, because hopefully some shit happens in 4.
Yeah, I thought they did a good job ending the Napa storyline. I thought that was good. Honestly, the gym, they just need to get rid of that gym because most of the problems happen in that gym. I know the warden likes to go there and pound the bag on his lunch break or whatever, but they just need to get rid of that place.
Maybe put cameras.
There's never a cop to be found anywhere in that gym. They take
there's only cameras there when the guards are trying to frame somebody for murder.
Yeah, King died season 1 for fucking a camera.
I think the only time there were guards in the gym is when they set up fucking Doris from Cool Runnings to kill that guy.
When Beecher got his arms and stuff broken, the other cop was there.
Yeah, Metzger was there.
There we go. All right.
But yeah, that's true. I mean, especially with all like the gym.
If a cop is in that gym, he is setting someone up to die.
Oh man.
So yeah. Anything else, Matt?
No.
I love how positive you were about setting shit up, and like, look how little you have to say. Yeah, because the episode fucking sucks.
Oh, we're gonna get to that in the next episode.
Hey guys, next episode takes place during Christmas. How many Christmas one-liners can we fit into one fucking episode of this motherfucker? Diane slams the thing, like Merry fucking Christmas, like all the stupid shit. Episode basically breaks down. It starts with Adebisi getting attacked by the fakest rat I've ever seen in my life. Sure. Yeah, they put a rat in there. He carries it with him and shows Dr. Nathan it.
So if we counted the duck in The Wire, do I get to count the rat?
Yes. The rat counts. The rat counts. If we were doing Green Mile, the mouse counts, and it comes off the death list when it comes back alive. Alvarez stabbed an officer in the eyes, been in jail, and now the Hispanics are saying, "You're not one of us. You'll never be one of us." They're basically after fucking cool. Yay! So fucking excited. Thanks, buddy. As much as McManus sucks, the guy he brought in to run M City is so much better. Like overall, he like when he walks on set, he goes, "Why am I a little nervous with all four of you in this pod together? If you don't live here, get out." Hey, Albert, or hey Hernandez, or whatever his name was. He's like, "It's Christmas. Why don't you try not to be a tough guy this time?"
He's right. Enjoy today. It's your last.
Basically, he sits there. He talks to McManus and Sister Pete, basically protective, because they end up trying to take him out, Alvarez. He stabs the guy that's family never shows up for him, and then he pulled the blade to the other guy's throat. And then he ends up going to it. Diane throws him away. Father, what's his nuts? Talks to Sister Pete about leaving the congregation. She's like, it takes forever, anyways. Like she's choosing maybe not to have Keller in this moment. He died, right?
Yeah, Ricardo was killed.
Yeah, never got that letter.
Really good opportunity. They should have had his whole family showed up to come visit him on Christmas Day, but he's dead.
You know what we missed? Yeah. You know what we missed? I wanted like him to be dead in the rolling pass, and then McManus gets stopped and goes, "Scott Ross." We're looking into this like Scott. We haven't talked about Scott Ross's death in a while. I just wanted that to be randomly brought up at some point. Like, hey, we're still looking into that matter because we just now stopped caring about that situation. Now again, we cared about it for a while. We don't care about it anymore.
Or it should have had Ricardo get killed. Then McManus shows up with a letter. Oh, I'll have to tell your sister. I'm sorry, I didn't get this to you in time.
Sister Pete basically talks to Crazy Lady in Death Row, says that she should not be on death row, like, and she wants to die. She's like, she wants to die. I'm like, yeah, no. Talks to the governor. Governor does the one thing like probably he should do, which is weird, and maybe it's re-election season or whatever. He's got to get like voters on his side. I don't know, but he grants Sister Pete's request and transfers her out, and she's like, I'm gonna kill this. I'm gonna kill myself and this baby. Like,
she's gonna give birth to the Antichrist.
Yeah, she believes that she's holding the Antichrist. Okay, cool.
Got awesome. A Damien Omen child.
The stab victims all get out of the hospital at the same time together. They're all just like recovered and like, okay, let's do this shit again for another year. Like,
don't cool. Want to stagger that out. Like, just say everybody like fought. Let's get them all back in M City.
You guys just go walk down the hallway by yourselves. It'll be okay. You know where you're going.
We'll be right behind you. Don't worry.
You ever work with somebody and they say something just questionable, and you're like, that one guard just apparently just trusts Diane enough to like talk crap on the other thing and say that Schillinger's not that bad, like, and she's just like, you knew this motherfucker crucified somebody last year. Like, what are you talking about? And broke arms and broke legs. And then McManus shows up and just like, oh, my boyfriend's here. I'm gonna go hang out with my boyfriend. Cool. Hate that relationship. Warden and fucking McManus get into a screaming match. If it's one of the brothers, you're fine with it. But if it's one of the... Hey guys, race war. We've even got the main guy, the warden, and the head of the city fighting about race. We've got what we needed. Don't worry, it'll pay off at the end of this episode, right? No. And then like Dan's like, everybody's listening like to the screaming, like they fucking know. They scream. This is the most people that's ever been in one room in Oz ever, and they decided to scream in front of each other. Like, it was so weird. What else happened? Oh, they end up like they're not wanting to put the fight on. They're talking about they're gonna still put the fight on.
It's a great idea.
O'Reilly just tries to like find motivation for Cyril to fight. He brings in old daddy. Daddy's a great chip off the old block. Just one of the meanest like redneck men ever. He gets him all the ammo that he needs, makes his dad mad. Boxing match happens. O'Reilly gives him the cue, like, you should think of Dad. Fucking beats the fuck out of him. Ends up making him brain dead. Guy that shouldn't have been in Oz.
Oh yeah.
Because he stopped a rape.
Yeah.
And now all this is he ends up brain dead. So that was crazy. They agreed to the fight. The wife of
Khan
comes in and goes, I want to take him off life support. Well, technically you don't get to make the call. The fuck I don't get to make that call. And
the
now
state
she's
owns
gonna
them. Sorry.
now she's gonna sue the thing, and she has a problem with McManus. Aren't you the one that grabbed that guy's I saw you on the TV for the sexual harassment. That's gotta be you, right? I have a problem with you. Get out of the room. So she's gonna sue. So now, yay, problems in M City. Who thought a boxing match between a bunch of inmates was gonna go bad? I did. But whatever. But they're gonna sue her. He's on life support. He's sitting there. Saeed is like, oh, Jesus Christ. Saeed is talking to the one officer, like I'll help you out if you help me, basically. Gives him the quid pro quo, the guy that's not fit to be an officer.
At a BC, yeah.
Out of BC and him, yeah, they have that. Did I say Saeed?
Yeah.
Well, out of BC. They end up having that exchange. What do they take? Oh, is this when they take the porn mags away?
Yeah. Take away the skin mags.
Just, you know what? Bunch of inmates, sexual. Just piss them off some fucking. Like, what the fuck is this group? Like,
I mean,
what does
around the
them
holiday
jerking off?
season?
What does
we
them
got-
jerking off affect their mood? Wouldn't it affect their mood negatively if they couldn't do it?
yeah, you know, we got a race war brewing. Why don't we just take away all their porno mags? I'm sure that will lessen the tension in this place.
Oh, and they're not supposed to fuck each other, right? We're gonna take away the one thing that wouldn't result, like, could prevent that. Good job, McManus and Co. You guys are leading the charge. Out of BC and Saeed, they all have like a meeting of the group to talk about like what's like riling up the troops, like getting them all ready to like. They're basically trying to coerce them into Free Hill. They're like yelling Free Hill, get everybody on board, get the thing riled up. I don't know why he gets fired, but why does Warden fire Ellis from The Wire?
Oh, because he sucks at his job.
I mean, that's the real reason.
I don't remember what the inciting incident.
Why is the other girl still officer of the law too? Because she's new. Ends up firing her. And then what every logical person before they quit their job is he drops off a gun, doesn't he?
Yeah. This is the second time someone from The Wire was a prison guard and gave a prisoner a gun.
Fuck right, Avon and Ellis both give guns to the fucking. What the fuck? And one's a good guy in The Wire, and the one's the bad guy. It's crazy. They end up giving him a gun. Keller and Beecher get together, and this race war that we've been building to come back. To be continued. Nothing's coming. Nothing.
If there's not a race war when we come back next week,
I'm telling you right now, if I start season 4 and they're like making cupcakes together, I'm losing it.
It was New Year's, so like that's the theme of the episode, and we had to end New Year's Eve. That it's over.
Yeah, New Year's resolution: no race wars.
Shut the fuck up, Mark. I hate you. What was your guys' take? I thought how great season 3 of Oz was starting to be. it was those two planes that collided in Breaking Bad.
I mean, up until the ending, kind of just like fizzling out, I thought it was a pretty good episode. I liked the whole Alvarez got to tell the warden Glenn that the guy that raped his daughter was Ricardo. He was here at the prison the whole time. I thought that was a really cool moment. What else did we miss? I thought the boxing match was pretty good. I feel bad for Cyril as always. Yeah, no, and pretty much. Yeah, it's just that they spent so much time in these two episodes, kind of stoking the fire of that and Adebisi's plan and stuff, and then it just because well, I can't even say because the first season kind of ended on a cliffhanger too, because the SWAT team just burst in there and just a whole bunch of gunshots. You don't know what happens. And I remember how the second season starts, so I guess I can't really, but it feels like they should have done more than what they did. I feel like there should have been something should have happened instead of just giving you the feeling of tension going escalating out throughout the prison. But I mean, overall, yes,
Go ahead, Mark. You lover of Oz now.
I mean, I don't wholly disagree with Matt here. I honestly thought the episode is honestly pretty good up until, I mean, I was kind of waiting for the shoe to drop, and then we're getting to oh man, tensions are really building, and I checked the time on the episode, wait, 5 minutes left. How are we gonna? The credits take up 3 of that. Where are we gonna get to the explosion here? It's I mean, just it reminded me a lot of it's a show that I wish we would talk about. I don't think we're ever going to, just because I don't see how we'll ever finish it, even though I think it'd be fascinating. We did The Walking Dead. It reminded me a lot of that season 6 finale, which is honestly a really good episode. It's a really good episode because we're heightening up the tensions right before we meet Negan, and we get into that moment to where Negan's gonna kill somebody, and then it's we'll tell you next season. The fuck is this bullshit? I want I want the payoff now. What are we doing here? It's annoying just because I feel like for the most part this episode was pretty good, and I think it ratchets up the tension really well throughout, and we just don't get anything for it. I honestly don't think Oz is. I think it's just bad at season finales. I think they're 0 for 3 at this point, if we're being completely honest.
No, you're not wrong. I think the biggest part of my whole crux, my whole problem with the overall show is we have so many storylines that are thing, but they don't equal together. And I think the problem is when Oz tries to force them all together for a common goal, right? Like the riot at the end of season 1, they all had to get together to team up to be this group. This season, now let's start a race war where Adebisi and everybody have to be in coincide. They haven't been with the Muslims all 3 seasons, and now we're gonna make them care. Arians there was a situation with Schillinger talking to the Jewish guy. He's like, "Well, I'm Jewish. Is that going to be a problem?" He's like, "No, not now." No, that's a problem for you. What do you mean you can draw the line? It just that's the biggest issue because they do so well with the story. Because if you don't like one storyline in Oz, there's another storyline that you're going to be okay with. You probably like or enjoy. But when you try to make them like the Avengers and we're all teaming up, we've got our solo movies, now let's put the Avengers out, and they can't fight a trash can, I don't see the point of getting together. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So it was a letdown, and I think that's a crucial point. I'm curious because when we rank it, which we're about to do, how we overall feel about season 3 as a whole versus the episode. And this will this is a true good point from all of us. Does the show season have to finish strong for you? Does there enough carryover? So we're gonna start with Mark, what is your rating of this season of Oz?
That's an interesting question because at least what you posed before, because I like honestly the majority of the season. I think this to me, this is honestly hands down the best season of Oz so far. I think for the most part, we really we had a lot of we took some characters in some interesting places, and we had some neat storylines. And hell, I feel like even going up into the finale, I think we were doing some interesting things with some of these characters. Like so, like even though like I don't like the ending, it doesn't really have a payoff. I still really like the season as a whole. Like I I I think Oz earned itself 4 stars for this season. Like I'm fine with that.
I'll go next. I don't think this is the best season of Oz so far. I think there are moments. I think it was going towards that direction. I think it was doing really well. I honestly think the last few episodes of it just tanked it for me. Um, and again, I it starts really strong. Like it starts stronger than the other ones. But I don't know. I don't know how I feel. Is if I'd rather show finish strong than start strong because you have time to develop and go through that. Um, like we get some interesting moments, right? But it's like overall, like it starts with like that Aryan officer dying. We get the sexual harassment stuff with McManus. Like there's some. We get the drug dealer where Hill likes to rat on him. We get Schillinger's boy, like that's an interesting like kind of arc. So there's some good, but I'm gonna still. I think I don't know. It's the last 3 episodes at least gave me like a ugh. I'm at 3 stars, and that may seem low, but I'm at 3. It didn't pay off, and honestly, I'm not excited for 4 based on what they show. I don't care about the race. Like, hey guys, I'll give you a little piece of advice. All your main characters, regardless black or white, they're making it through this race war. Billy Bob and Joseph, somebody like that, they're not making it through. They're going to die. And we're not going to know them. We're not going to care. But like Schillinger, Beecher, all that, they're going to be here next season. What are we talking about? So the thing is, I think this show is hurting from a thing because stakes don't matter. Because if you think about it, when's the last big character has died? Not been attacked, died. Because everybody gets attacked, they all end up in the hospital, and they all come right back out to Oz. Beecher is into the flipping room with him, and he's just broken, put back in the thing. COs die, but like characters, we haven't had a main character die in Oz
Probably since season 1.
Since season 1.
I mean, technically, you could say Ricardo was a main character of this season. They gave him big stuff every episode.
I'm so happy you helped my case so strong. Like, that's the problem. Like Ricardo was the one death this season, and I know I'm terrible with names. Most people don't know his name.
Yeah, that's the problem with Oz is that there's like 5 or 6 like main characters throughout the whole show, and then there are people that they kind of elevate to higher things for like one season, and those are.
But
like
we're all around these murderers that no one dies.
Yeah,
they get stabbed, and guess what? They're bandaged up. They're coming back to Oz.
They got a really good medical wing at the Oz.
Fucking right. So it's like losing that. That was the problem with Walking Dead for me for a while, right? Because when I watched that show all the way up to like Negan, I got there till the tiger showed up, and that was just I'm fucking done. I'm out. But my thing was, I'm not losing main people. Yeah. So the danger of this world isn't danger until Negan bashed 2 people's heads in. I'm like, okay, well, maybe some people do matter. But then we went right back to all these people don't matter. it's these nameless people that we meet up in after 8 seasons. I don't care if she dies. I met her 2 episodes ago. I don't give a fuck. Carol's not dying. Daryl's not dying. Michonne's not dying. Like, what do we care about? Same thing with this. O'Reilly's going to get himself in situations. He ain't dying. The other guy's going to die. Because I met, and they do a really good job in this show where they introduce a guy in like 2 minutes. Just like, oh, this guy, 2 years, armed robbery, blah blah, dead. So it's a 3 for me. It's losing interest. I'm not losing interest. Like I'm going to continue watching, but it's losing interest because the stakes don't matter in the show, and that's a problem for me in a show with a bunch of murders and deaths. It's supposed to be.
For me, it's kind of the opposite of season 2 because season 2 kind of had the weak start, but then it had the really strong finish. Whereas this one kind of started out really strong, and then it kind of fizzled out there at the end. But I think that there was enough going on throughout this season that really I was interested in, like the stuff with Keller and O'Reilly and Beecher teaming up to tank on Schillinger's son and all that stuff. There was a lot of good storylines. So I'm going to give it the same score I gave last season. I'm going to give it a 4. It's a weaker 4 than the last season. This might be the last 4 that Oz gets if they don't do some course correcting next season. I don't really remember too much about what happens next season, so we'll see where it goes from there. But I'll give it a 4. It's barely a 4. It was really close to being a 3.5, but it just there was some really good stuff in the season. So
overall 4 stars. Is that what we side with?
I think so, because Mike would have given it a 5. So
I don't. You don't show up. You don't get any opinion.
So 4 is pretty much probably what it would have been at. Yeah.
I'm 3.5, 4, and 4. So yeah, I guess it would make sense if my average made to the score. So 2 out of 3. That's fine. We'll do 4. Real quick ranking on this one. Is it? I'll just ask this question. Matt, is it better than the first 2 seasons? Any of the first 2 seasons of Oz?
Definitely not better than the second season. I think it might be better than the first season.
Okay, I'm same. So that's where it's probably going to reside. Matt,
Yeah.
Mark, you would put it higher than both seasons of Oz.
I would put it higher than both seasons of Oz. Yes.
Okay. So where it's going to sit is right in between. So it's of the 6 seasons that we've done of shows that we have ranked, it is second from last in that regard. You guys would agree that it's not better than any 2 seasons of Breaking Bad or Wire season 1?
No.
It's definitely not better than Wire season 1. I don't think it's better than Breaking Bad season 1. I think it's a conversation between 2.
Is Breaking Bad season 2 the low? Is that pretty much the one that's sitting on top of the Oz's? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. And we have right now season 2 of Oz above, right below Breaking Bad. So it has to clear Oz season 2 and Breaking Bad season 2 to get above those 2. And I don't think it does that.
Yeah, I think the second season of Oz probably has a good chance. Could have done it, but obviously it didn't because it isn't. But yeah, definitely not this one.
Okay, this episode is a little long, but we also had 4 episodes of Breaking Bad, and we have 2 season finales. So
yeah,
and again, if you're watching, great.
If not, we're
episode. Back to now, we're on to Wire.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I think I understand the season 2 gripes. Now, not to jump ahead, because we would definitely not jump ahead in the show, but are we just? Please tell me, not every season ends with the same wrap-up bullshit back-to-back seasons. Or is this every season of The Wire that we just do like a conclusion of this season? Because everything
you talking about we're finished. I mean, we just complained where the last season by not having any payoff, and The Wire has payoff. Is that the conversation we're leading to?
No, so here's my issue, right? So here's my issue. So I am okay with setup for the future, but give me something good at the end. I feel like everything falls into place with Wire for back-to-back seasons, that the bow is tied, the present is done. Then you are a police procedural. And if that's what this show is, that is fine. But that's like CSI. Every episode, whoever the murderer is, we find out in that episode. So are we just going to conclude at the end of every season, the group stays together, we're finished with this task, on to the next one? Is that what this is? If that's it, then I know what to expect. But my confusion is, how do we put The Wire on such a great pedestal if that's the mark? Because there's not a real arc that we're at, and I have a problem with that.
I'll just say, keep watching.
Okay. Well, I'm going to. I'm voting so.
Yeah,
Mark is so pissed at me right now.
I thought this was gonna go somewhere, which it almost did. We were very close. But yes, I mean we're going to finish up the story of the season, and then we're gonna move on to new stories with a lot.
But it's a
of
police procedural.
You're hurting Mark's soul.
Huh?
I will drive to your house and punch you down. Like, don't ever call the show ever again.
Police procedural with drugs? Is that what we're doing?
I hate
Okay.
you. I hate you more than whenever you say I went to tech. Like, that's how much I hate you right now.
Just don't worry. I'm sending you a text stuff this year. Either way. Okay. So, all right. We're going to check boxes and we're going to finish the episode. I can't wait till next season when we go to the train. Either way. We went to a boat. We went to the street. Now we're going to train or plane. We're doing plane next season. I'm excited. Okay, let's move on.
I'm sure they get airport.
Episode starts with Perez and like sitting there, and they're basically tracking all cars. Pretty cool little montage that they do there.
Oh, yeah. Perez doing his thing.
Is it Johnny Cash they're playing?
Yeah. Johnny Cash, yeah.
Walk the Line is playing while they do this, which I think is hilarious. I don't know if you guys need my ranking. Season 2 of Wire's intro, better than season 1 intro song, like singing version of it. That's my take.
Not bad.
Because it changes. They do two different versions. That's my first.
Yeah, it's a
overall
different
show. I don't know how I feel, but that's where I'm at. Stringer introduces is this when he introduces the bow tie guy? No.
No. He goes to Bodie and says the Keys and the East Side dealers are going to be taking some of the towers.
They're taking the towers. Method Man. Yeah.
Yes. Method Man is bringing his guys. They're going to take the towers because they're bringing in the good product.
Mm-hmm.
And he disagrees with the situation. They end up looking at and seeing all the tracking of the cars. They do that. Grumpy fucking old guy of the cop is wanting Frank's ass like in the worst way. Give me fucking Frank, which I think is funny.
Brings the FBI in,
yeah. They bring that's a really cool scene when they bring the FBI in, and I was like, I love when the two cops like square off with them and they're like center point chest, like take him out from the thing, like, shoot to kill, like make sure he's dead. They're dead. So I thought that was interesting. You know what's the problem with season 2? There's not a lot of my man, not a lot of Omar.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know my gripes. You know what makes it not a police procedural? Omar. But What else happens in this episode that I
We
missed?
get Ziggy's heist.
Yeah, Ziggy and Johnny 50 steal those cars.
Oh yeah, they steal those cars. What's the female cop's name? I can't do this every. Yeah, we have a good interaction with him and her and her girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a pretty cool scene that they end up having. When the episode goes, I don't know if the Vince Gillian, creator of Breaking Bad.
That's Breaking Bad, yeah.
I think he may have watched season 2 of The Wire because there's a character that they introduced. They introduced him last episode or whatever, a man in a bow tie. That reminds me of a lot of a man that sells fried chicken, that has zero emotions whatsoever, and just he shows up and he fucking just shoots the Method Man in the fucking chest, like
rat shot.
like, and he's like, and he basically turns that bitch to the side and goes, like he's about to just kill him dead. So I thought that was really interesting. Pretty great introduction of a character. Big guy, coach of that team. What's the guy's name?
Prop Joe.
Yeah, Joe.
Prop Joe and Method Man are sitting there like talking about like his situation. Like he just got shot. Like where do we go from here? Like we've got to can't do that. I jumped ahead where they ended up killing that. I jumped ahead where they the FBI agents, but that does happen. Then we see Ziggy get his money from the Greek guy. He gets him barely any money. He gets in his face and calls him a Greek fuck and blah blah. Manhandles Ziggy and throws him basically out. Ziggy goes to his car, comes back with a gun, guns down everybody in the place. Guy goes, please, please, and just shoots him right in the pretty brutal shot. Ends up killing him. Ziggy jumps Perez. Perez has now been redeemed, by the way. I don't know if I've made this statement on the show yet, but Perez is no longer the dumbest wire member person. That is definitely not the dumbest wire person. He's not even close. Jimmy is like heads over that after he rammed his car twice into the fucking turn. But Ziggy is the dumbest human being ever. He ends up shooting the guy. He ends up like throwing the money back at the guy and like shoots the one guy, but ends up leaving him. So basically, and then sits in his car and just waits for the cops, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And he left a witness lie. What? Like,
I mean, he kind of snapped. He didn't really want to go and kill a whole bunch of people. That's why when he realized when he's got the kid there, he's going to shoot the kids. Like,
guys shouldn't have killed the people. Well, he fucking live with your fucking concept. Maybe you shouldn't have pulled out your dick as many times.
Ziggy's better off in jail.
Right? There's kind of a cool scene with Prop Joe and who's like is he blind or like
Yeah, he's blind.
They're sitting there and they're talking about Omar and he's like something just doesn't feel like right and like something's not right in this situation. So they're like it's a pretty cool like end up sit down scene there. Ziggy basically gives the cops like information.
Yeah, he
confesses.
He just confesses the crime.
Yeah, he confesses the murders. What else? His other son tells them that Ziggy's been busted. Frank tells Frank been busted. Frank doesn't handle it all too well. The mole from Oz has a meeting with the head of the Greek guy about the situation, and basically sets his hired gun, basically. There's I don't know his name, but he's literally the enforcer of the Greeks, is what I take it.
Yeah, the
Boris.
Russian guy.
Yes. He ends up doing that. Old fart shows up to the wire basically, and Perez punches him in the fucking face, which I would give him a dumb moment, but I accept that moment. That guy deserved to be punched in the face.
How bad was it? He just punched his father-in-law. You know, it's a family
Yeah.
matter. You know,
His father-in-law is commanding officer. The look that Daniels gives is priceless in that moment.
Listen, I thought a floppy disk was bad. Their explanation of a text message hurt my inner, like my body. I work in cell phones. That one was painful. Where they get to just fish on the side and watch him and what's the kid's name?
Nikki.
Is that
No,
who
wait.
he's talking
No,
with?
wait. No, I think he was talking with
No, he's not talking to Nikki. He's talking to somebody else.
Yeah, that's Sergey and the other guy, the number 2, the Greeks number 2 guy.
Yeah, and they end up throwing the phone, and they all
Yeah.
see it, and they're like, "Oh, what was he doing? Maybe you send a text message. My kids do that all the time. Blah blah blah." Shut up.
2003.
I know. Shouldn't be that irate about it. Jimmy, no, his son goes to like the Greek place, the Greek restaurant, like kind of store.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Nikki.
And did I get the vibe like they basically are not like there's tension between that group right now? Is that because he didn't like give him what he wanted? Like didn't?
Well, I was just
Let me
like that they
explain.
had. Well, they were just stopping the operation because, like, at that point, because when the Greek finds out that they're being surveilled upon, he tells Spiros, the number 2 guy, that hey, we gotta talk because we're got a wiretap, and then that's when he goes and tells Eton, you know, the Israeli guy, hey, we just got to shut everything down. Like we got like our guy's been killed. Like it's only a matter of time before the cops get on us. We just got to shut it down, and Nikki goes over to that diner and like, yeah, stone face. Like, what are you talking about? There's never been any guy named Spiros here. Like, it's just a sign that they're shutting down operations.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's basically what I end up thinking. They end up getting like the subpoena for the text messages, and I don't recall much more happening, but I may be wrong. Did I miss anything else from this episode?
Pretty much the Greeks are pretty much cleaning up all their operations, and by the time they get the warrants and everything, pretty much everything's already cleaned up. And that's pretty much the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We kind of covered most of that stuff. I mean, it's a great episode. Also, by the way, it just like it. I think it's a great episode. It's
It's a great
a
episode.
lot of culmination of like everything that's happening right here. Like especially from that beginning, like where even though we kind of slow roll the investigation, it's just kind of through at least that great montage of Walk the Line of how we just slowly crept up the investigation. They got all the information they need, and just feels like kind of every turn, like just something big is happening. At least with Omar being set on his path, Brother Molzone just capping Method Man. That was awesome, and then Ziggy's what happens to Ziggy is such a great moment. How it's because we just see him just constantly get fucked with the entire season, and I like how like the show just kind of slowly builds to that moment to where I think a couple episodes, like I think last episode he bought a gun, and then how like you know everybody's like fucking him over the dock saying, hey, why don't you go like you know punch Maui, like he's just a big pussy or whatever, like he's tired of not being taken seriously. He's tired of just of trying to prove to everybody that he is capable of being in the game. And then he does something that should have been there, and it fucking breaks him. Like it is, even though like he really is the picture perfect definition of a fuck up. Like it's hard not to feel bad for Ziggy in that moment, just because like it's because like he wants this moment more than anything, and then he realizes what he did. And, like it is like I feel like it does a really good job of humanizing him in that moment.
It's really easy for me to not take that at all. Oh, they also like wash down, like they clean up all their areas, right? They
Yeah.
in this episode, like they jump down all the drugs down the drain, and like
Yeah.
which pays off in the next episode. I didn't want to miss that one. Matt,
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Mark said. I think this is a really good episode. I think it's pretty much the beginning of the end of the season. It's pretty much starts these 3 episodes pretty much is just pretty much almost one long season finale. It has a really good introduction kind of moment for Brother Musan, who is a character we're going to get to know more of at the end the rest of the season and going into the next season. And the stuff with Ziggy is yeah. Sure. But yeah, I mean, I thought the scene too where Nikki goes to tell Frank about Ziggy, and Frank yells at him. He's like, "He's your cousin. Why would you do it?" He's like, "You're his father." I thought that was a really good moment for him. And of course, yeah, the stuff with the text messaging was really funny. So, but yeah, it's a great episode. And of course, Prez finally he got his balls. He finally stood up to the one guy, maybe to the detriment of his career, but hey, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
You guys keep using a word like great. That's interesting. I just don't. Maybe it's different here in Missouri. That is not what that episode means to me.
Well, you also got to think too. We said that this is probably the weakest season, so
thank God. I mean, for a police procedural, is there really an arc that goes to we'll see. Okay, so I may have to stop to save my friendship with Mark. Now we're on to the next episode. Though basically, the clock turned 6. We're raiding houses. We're raiding everywhere. We're busting in. We're finding things. We're arresting people. We're finding drugs. We're doing the Wire stuff because this is the last 2 episodes of the Wire, and we have to close this case now. Basically how that works. They're tailing Frank too. Basically, they're waiting to like just take him in. Basically, the whole situation. They end up like they're trying to flush drugs out of the thing. They find it on the shower drain and stuff like that. Like they did a terrible job. They end up raiding everybody's house. They end up getting a lot of people. They end up taking the old guy gets to end up taking Frank. Just walks in the most like common ways, like and pats him on the back, like so condescending. Like, gotcha, buddy. They end up taking Frank in. Everybody's there to sit there and look at him. The only one they didn't take in is his son, right? Basically, his son's
yeah, his
still out.
nephew Nicky.
Yeah, his Nicky. Sorry, I think his son always, but it's not. Ziggy's his son, right?
Yes.
Should have had the other one. A lot better, but whatever. They end up taking them in. He's still sitting out. Trying to pinpoint what happens in this episode. We do get Omar, which him and Stringer sit down and have a one-on-one. Well, one on a bunch of guys behind him because they don't trust him at all. I don't remember quite what they discussed in that interaction off the top of my head.
I mean, he pretty much just said that Brother Musan was the one that really tortured Brandon and stuff. So he's just trying to get Omar to go take care of Brother Musan for him.
Yeah, because he wants to. Because Brother Musan shouldn't be there. Because Avon was the one who hired him. So like he's trying to get Omar to take care of the problem for him without Brother Musan going after him.
Frank and Izzy have like a real emotional face to face in the interrogation room. Is what I consider that. Should I feel for Ziggy? Is he? Should I feel for him then?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
don't. I don't. If you're a douchebag and you stay a douchebag, I don't care that you end up killing people because you made a mistake. It's your fault. You're going to jail. That's a real bad one. If you guys want me to cling to a guy that I
I'm not
haven't
going to
given a
defend
shit
it.
for all that season, and now we're going to try to do a redemption arc for him, fuck
I,
off.
I don't think he
I'm
wants
not.
redemption.
I'm not saying
No,
like he's
him
redeemed. I'm just saying
crying and
like
him being emotional seems like a redemption arc if I've ever seen one.
I just think we're just trying to humanize him. We're just trying to empathize him in that situation. And I don't see how you can't. Like if I'm being completely honest with you, like he he's reacting. I think how like just any person would, especially in their situation of a guy like who doesn't have to be in this situation, but he just wants to, and he just kind of learns in that moment that he's just not cut out for it. He's not cut out for this world.
Um, Frank is out of jail, right?
Yeah, because they
Yeah.
just
He's
arrested
out. He has a sit down with his dad. Isn't that his dad?
That's
his
his brother.
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 Brother talks about all that. If it's really dark outside and all you see is a cigarette lit, you know who that man is. Omar is stalking out the place where um, man with bow tie. What name?
Brother Mazun.
Man with bow tie. We'll go with that one. By the way, kind of a douche. Also to his helpers, like getting mad at him for not picking up the right magazines and doing the wrong thing. Kind of a dick.
He just wants the new issue of Harper's, okay? And I love that it's
He does.
Harper's just because like it's the uh gentlemanly kind of high IQ magazine. Like that's what like it's the one, especially the like he doesn't say the New Yorker. He says Harper, like he says the like high IQ magazine that nobody knows fucking exists. Like but this guy would know that Harper's exists.
Frank goes. Where does he go? Like a worker's place, or like
Yeah,
he's
he goes
punching
to the
in?
docks. Yeah, he pretty much just wants to show that he's still there working for the guy, fighting for the guys and stuff.
He just wants to clear his head. Like a lot of
Yeah,
fucked up shit has happened the last couple of days.
yeah.
Like he just you know what? I just kind of want to get in touch with my working side and just break a
Remind me what
sweat.
I'm doing all this for.
Yes.
They end up. There's this. They're following the number two for the Greeks. The whole stakeout, watching him, like figuring out where he goes. She ends up in the elevator with him, like, which he is very suspicious of her, but she ends up still finding out like where he's located and everything like that. Um, Frank's working hard, being a good able-bodied man out there loading trucks and doing whatever he's doing. So, um, the Greek guy comes out with a. Do we know who that guy is?
Which guy?
Comes out with a
Yeah,
briefcase out of the hotel. Do we know
no, him.
anything
No.
about that currently?
He's just a lawyer. Like
Yeah,
his
he's
name.
just their lawyer for the
Yeah.
Greek operation.
How do you know that, Mark? We're watching the show for the very first time. How do you know he's a lawyer?
I thought they said he was a lawyer in the episode. Like I was pretty sure they did.
Hey, when they finally track
You know
down
what?
who that guy is.
Touche. Touche. They said he's a lawyer. I don't remember that part.
I think it's in the next episode they say
Um,
he's the lawyer, yeah.
That's, you know what? Fuck you both. Fair enough. Frank has that sit down with that one guy about the group not trusting him. Like he can't be a part of the group because they're like, what the feds come in, they're coming down for him too. And like I don't understand if Frank doesn't realize like he's fucked some shit up in this situation. like what?
Yeah, he doesn't realize all his political dealings are now dead, and because he's been
Did we
arrested
call
by the
him like
FBI.
Ned? What episode? Who and what show did we call somebody Ned Stark?
I think we were talking about Lieutenant Daniels being the Ned Stark.
That's fair. Well, this is one of the pride of one man just doesn't understand like this shit's going bad. Like he in these 3 episodes, like he has presented solutions. He does not take said solutions. So like now would they own up to the solutions? Who knows? Overall. They're basically the basic crux of this one and like other episodes is they're worried about Izzy talking and basically Frank like the group was ratting out the Greeks. That's the Greeks are not like okay with that situation. Omar shoots Bowtie Guy. And then calls an ambulance for Bowtie Guy. Does not kill Bowtie Guy. So
Yes, Omar realizes that he's been had. That like a stringer definitely lied to him about him being involved.
Yep. He blows out real fast and ends up getting him help. Who's the female officer? Not the one I keep forgetting, but the white chick.
Beatty Ross.
Beatty. She like has an emotional thing to Frank, like come talk to us, come like we'll help you out, like we'll give you protection, do all the stuff like that. Shocker. Frank does not honor that stuff, does not listen to it, ends up going with it. Greek number 2 meets down with Nikki, basically presents. I mean, I guess Frank does go into the group, like goes into the wire to talk, but does not fully get protection. Just want that on the record. He does not end up fully protected. But Nikki sits with him, the Greek, on the bed, and they basically talk about the thing. Like, we get the one guy, basically sets up a plan to make it seem like Frank and it are going to all walk from this situation. Like, if all we need is loyalty from that side.
He convinces them that they can get Ziggy out of being convicted of murder. That they're going to get the guy who he let live to say that the gun wasn't Ziggy's.
Yeah, it wasn't Nikki, and it was going to be a self-defense. Like, he's the one that had it. He's the one that went off. Frank doesn't want to stay loyal to the Greeks, is what it seems like to me. Like, he gets angry because...
Well, no, he'd already kind of talked to the police at this point.
Right.
So he doesn't know that this possible Ziggy deal with the Greeks is on the table. And it's already kind of gotten word to the FBI that he's being a cooperative into the investigation. And of course, that's when our mole from Oz sends that information to the Greek. And that's kind of what does Frank in. Because I believe that they really did want to. I think that the number 2 kind of has a soft spot for Nikki. So I think that they were really going to try to work with keeping those 2 safe. But then once they got word that Frank was cooperating a little bit, no good.
And man, old computers are rough, but to watch that text come across the mole's desk and Frank to walk towards the Greeks and the phone for the main Greek guy to have the phone in hand, and you know exactly who he's getting call from, and it just fades to black. This is where I'm a little bit upper on this episode. I enjoyed this episode for a police procedural.
Because Omar was there, right?
Because Omar was there. I like the tie back into it. I think the main thing I'm missing is because I understand introduce new characters, but I'm missing some of the old Wire situation. Like, I don't know if I found that more interesting than the Doc situation in this one. But I do like some of the new characters, so like it's a give and go. So, but I overall enjoyed this episode a little bit more because I think the Frank stuff. I think how they set that up too, where he's working on the inside of the police force, and they get the information that Frank's going to do this turn in the Greeks, and we literally watch Frank walk to his death. Like, if spoiler for the next episode, but everybody watching that knows exactly what's happening to that guy. Like he's dead. He's dead. I think it was a good payoff on the episode. Enough intrigue, a little back and forth. So, what were your guys' take on it?
Yeah, I think it's a really solid episode. My favorite part, of course, was the Omar Brother Musan scene. I wrote it down as kind of the unstoppable force meeting the immovable object, and the unstoppable force knocks him down. But he comes to realize, and I think that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out going forward. But yeah, good episode. Yeah.
Yeah. No, this. Yeah, I agree. I listen. There are very few shows I think that know how to wrap up a season better than The Wire. And I think even coming from season 2, like I felt like there was a lot of slow build, especially in season 2, because there's kind of just stuff slowly happening, and then everything just kind of happens all at once because we start off like just getting everything's getting rated, and now we're trying to which slight thing we kind of skipped over, like the everybody can get interrogated, and like of course everybody can get interrogated doesn't want to cooperate except for the drug dealer they picked up. The drug dealer is like, oh yeah, no, I'll give up everybody, like I don't care. Like, yeah, we're good. White Mike is ready to give away the whole operation. And also, it has that great scene of how even though we got this department, nobody can communicate with each other. They have to find out inadvertently that Ziggy killed like one of the guys that they were going to arrest, and like Daniels goes to Landsman like, "Hey man, what the fuck? How come you didn't tell us that one of my suspects is killed?"
How many
by the son of
Sabatkas you
another
got?
Yeah, like yeah, that was great. And then yeah, just the slow build up into the season where you realize that okay, like Frank is continually in a tough spot here, and he doesn't really want to keep doing this. He doesn't want to be stuck like in the cycle with these Greek guys. But yeah, no, yeah, he's has to make that same choice. Has probably one of the cooler fade to black moments I think I've seen in the series. And also, I mean, we joked about like the meeting with him and Ziggy, but holy fuck! I mean that scene is just so hard to watch. I mean, I think especially for Frank's side, to where like he is just wants nothing more than just to kind of be a good dad in that moment, but also like he realizes I kind of fucked up. Like I'm kind of the reason why he's here. Like it just the whenever he says like you're more like me than you know, that just it hits me every single time. Such a and even though like again these are characters that we just met, I feel like like every one of their arcs and storylines just comes full circle. Like I think it's kind of amazing how The Wire just managed to pull that off in such a short period of time.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't agree with the Frank thing, but that's besides the point. I think this next episode starts really strong. A lot of like mad panic, a lot of like running to like every character is kind of impacted on the dock. Like don't really know what's going on. They know they found something. There's a body. Body's Frank. Frank's dead. They end up finding him, um, and he's been throat slit, basically stabbed a bunch of times. The Greeks took care of him. Nikki sees the body. We get that interaction between Stringer and Bowtie Guy in the hospital. Basically, Bowtie Guy is like stands against Stringer. Basically, tells him like he'll handle the situation like this. Like he doesn't need his. Is that what I was getting? Or
he kind of knows that he can't trust Stringer, and he's now a little suspicious about him.
and what Stringer was hoping that he'd be dead and he
Yeah.
didn't have to worry about him anymore. And now those Yeah, and he doesn't seem sure. He's like, "Well, I'll help." And they're like, "No, I'll do this. I do not need your
I'll take
input."
care of them myself. What do you mean them? I thought it was just one
Yeah.
guy.
Nikki's not dealing well with the overall death of his uncle. Bubbles and meth heads try to steal shit off an ambulance. That doesn't go well for them at all. Um, the Wire basically shows up to look at Frank's body for visitation purposes. I guess it's like such a visual. Like they look like they're paying their respects. Again, that female cop has like the visceral reaction. They do a really good job of like thing. Is it just me, or have this been building? The bald Ellis and who? What's the other guy's name?
Hergen Carver, yeah.
Yeah.
They're very fed up in their like position with the Wire. Like they're basically the bottom tier. They always have to do the bullshit work, and they're not pleased with where they're at.
Yeah, they feel like they've been getting fucked with this whole season. Like, and they're not wrong. Like,
No,
they've
yeah.
definitely been getting this shit assignments the whole time.
Yeah.
Well deserved, because they're kind of bad at everything else. But this is kind of the one thing that they're, that they're well suited for.
Uh, Daniels and Old Cop basically go hand in hand back and forth with each other. Basically, he wants him to forgive Perez for the hit, and he has to write a handwritten apology to everybody that saw that punch throw, which I think is one of the funniest lines. And being like, he embarrassed me. I need him to handwrite an apology to everybody. So I thought that was pretty funny. I think the big crux of this entire the main Greek and the Greek number two have like a sit down conversation. I don't remember what the main crux of the conversation was. Does
Pretty
anybody
much
can
the
help?
business is going to eventually keep on going. They a funny little thing about how they pretty much don't have anything on the two of them. All they have on the Greek is the Greek, and he's not even Greek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're good.
Yeah, and they talked about the last shipment they had but they just decided, yeah, we're just gonna leave this on the dock. Like, we've been running into police everywhere. Like, so there's probably police sitting on that can. We don't need to worry about it.
Daniels and the FBI and Rawls are all having a meeting of the overall the situation. I guess the next moves after Frank, because I guess, do they know at this point that there's basically a mole within their group that ratted out Frank, or they just think this is just casualty of war?
I
Because
think
that's
the
got to
one
be coming up in
FBI
the
guy
next
is kind of
seasons.
on to the other guy.
I think the FBI guy thinks it, but the cops don't. They just thought they were
Cops don't.
just slow in getting to him.
Gotcha. So that's why I'm saying that's got to be a continuing arc from this season. Like it has to be. Like he's got to have some through line. Maybe not. Maybe we're going to fucking Alaska to next month. We're just moving people. So that ends up happening. They interrogate Bubbles. Basically, they're trying to figure out the new group, right? Of who's
Well, it's pretty much
the
they're
drugs.
seeing what kind of information Bubbles has on what's going on, and he kind of tells them a little bit about how he sees the east side and the west side working together in the towers, and talking about Brother Musan shooting Method Man and a couple other things, and kind of gets McNulty kind of back on Stringer again. So,
Big crux of this episode, Nikki basically just spills the tea on all the Greeks. Right?
Yeah.
at least everything
just-
else, yeah.
They killed
He
his
basically
uncle, so,
just
I mean,
he basically
fuck it.
just points at the faces and says this and this and this and this person and this. We know everything about them now. We get sexy Daniels and no shirt and underwear, walking through the house. That's a nice change of pace, for the
Like a
lady
cut.
viewers and other men viewers. What else did I miss? Oh, they basically put Nikki and them in protective custody of the situation.
Which is very strange protective custody, and they pretty much just let him go to the docks and stuff.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
We
Can
already
anybody
know
help
with
me?
last season how good these guys are with protective custody with what happened with Wallace. So
I didn't have time to rewatch this part, but I wanted to. What the fuck is with the headless men and ball sacks that I get to watch the entire episode?
That was how they were able to identify the guy who was responsible for the for the container girl's death, because they found a body that didn't have a head, didn't have a head or hands, and they had Sergey on a phone saying like, did he have a head, or did he have a face, did he have hands, like, and it wasn't us, so they realized, okay, the body must be somebody like who doesn't have a head, or hands, which Bunk has a pretty funny line in that one of like, there's got to be some motherfucker looking at a table full of heads right now.
Yeah, that's what I thought was funny.
And yeah, they identify that guy because of the tattoos on his knees.
tattoo.
That's
So they
that's
cleared
how
the
they.
14 murders.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then pretty much the only
Ellis
other
and Hurt
thing.
basically have a sit down conversation with Daniels that we're just the pack mules of this group. Like we don't do anything. Omar and the blind guy had the sit down conversation in the bar.
Yeah, Hurt and Carver are outie. They're done.
What else did I?
Avon and Stringer had their
Yeah,
sit
Avon
down.
Stringer, Greek number 2, and
Prop Joe.
big guy, Prop Joe
Yeah.
talking, which is like a mixture of the worlds. Like didn't see that.
They were
happen that
Prop Joe's
often.
dope connection. Yeah.
Yeah. What else did I miss from this?
I mean, pretty much the end. You just see they found another way to get drugs and girls in. So it's pretty much kind of as much as things change, things stay the same. So that's kind of the story of The Wire.
I mean,
and everybody gets basically booked in because they have everybody written down, and everybody going to jail, and the court is starting up again. It's just like, that's my biggest problem. Like, it was the same ending, basically the same ending of the last season of this, and I get it. You want closure. Can a Wire run more than one season?
I mean, it's the ending of this case, and like I'll disagree a little bit that it isn't quite the same. I mean, because we kind of talked about how in the last season we're kind of following like kind of low end, like a low end crime gang, like these, like, yeah, like they are more sophisticated. They try to run codes and try to keep the police off their backs, but at the same time they're still dealing with like like kind of low level dealers. Like, he'll do dumb shit, and it is what it is. They'll eventually be caught. This season, they were dealing with professional criminals, guys like who have made it who've devoted their life to just doing some unscrupulous shit. And yeah, even though the Wire, like, knocked down this operation, they didn't get the head guys. They weren't even close. Like they like the Spiros and the Greek were a step ahead of the police the entire time. Yeah, and what did it lead to? Like, oh, they had to find another way to get drugs and girls into the country. Like, they didn't do anything. Like, it's
A mild
it is
inconvenience.
yeah, like I love it just because like it's so pessimistic at how like how our justice system and our crime system worked on criminals in this country. How, yeah, like, we can like stop them, kinda, but like just things are gonna happen anyway, whether we like it or not. Like, just like, or I feel like, the Wire crew had some small wins last season. They kind of got no wins this season. The one good thing that they were able to do was they were able to solve the Container Girls case. Yeah, they did that, and like, we helped out Rawls look good in front of everybody. I'm sure, you know having him look good, and maybe he goes up the ladder. I'm sure that will equal good things in the future.
Okay. We weren't long. Maybe on season finales when both of them line up, maybe we start 30 minutes earlier. We're kind of dragging near the end of it. I apologize to everybody. So, Wire season 2 ratings. I want to go first since I've never seen it. I'm at 3.5 stars on this one. I don't think it's bad per se. I just don't gravitate enough to love it over the top. I will still, when we get to the rankings, I put it under Breaking Bad season 2, but I don't put it below anything else. I think it's better than everything else I've seen. I think it's better acted. I think it's better direct. I think it's overall a better show. So that's my take. Mark will be completely crazy, and Matt may be logical. So we'll see. But we're gonna go to Matt.
Yes,
Matt next. So Matt, what's your rating?
Yeah, I mean, I think this season was a lot better than I remembered it, because I remember going in, I kept saying season 2 is the worst season. You just kind of got to get through season 2 to get to 3 and 4. But it actually was a lot better than I remembered it. It still isn't as good as the first season, so I gave first one a 4. So I'm gonna give this one 3.5 as well.
We're leaning somewhere else, but
I can't.
What do
give
you
it
want from police procedural?
Oh.
okay. Just give me a second. Okay. Well, no, I'm gonna stick to my gun. This is what I told myself where I was gonna go with this rating. I do think like the ending of this season is pretty spectacular. The last 3 episodes are really, really great, and we spent. But I will agree. There was a lot of build in this season, and honestly, we had kind of one great episode in there, which was that episode 6, all prologue. Even though we are at odds whether or not D'Angelo was a good death or not, and I don't know where the fuck that came from. But I mean, it's pretty good. It's kind of I'll give it a 4. It's a 4 out of 5.
That's respectful for you.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
So I have it above. I have above season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Does everybody agree with that?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Is this better than Breaking Bad season 2?
I think it is. I would go with this over Breaking Bad.
I don't.
I see. It's season 2 is definitely the weakest seasons for both shows.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's like right neck and neck.
So are we gonna? So do you want to do how we have Wire season 1 and Breaking Bad season 1, where they're basically on the same line? They're just tied.
We could do that. I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that. I can live with that world. I'll say it's tied, and I'll even be better, and I'll put Wire season 2 higher than Breaking Bad season 2 on it, just to make it look better.
I mean, we kind of said this earlier. In a month, it's not gonna matter. So like it's like, everything's gonna go.
I mean,
down.
if you guys think season 3, 4, and 5 of The Wire are good, me with Breaking Bad season 3, 4, and 5, I'm going to be a crazy person with this. Like,
I mean, that's really going to be The Wire versus Breaking Bad for season 3 and season 4. That's going to be where it really gets interesting.
Oz.
Yeah. Oh no, Oz ain't going to catch. Mike's not here. We can count it out.
Okay, so, I don't have your guys' thing pulled up. I want to make sure I'm doing this right, because now that we actually have an official...
I think we're just doing the next 3 for all 3, right?
Yeah.
Just making sure?
Yeah, doing first 3 season 4 of Oz, first 3 season 3 of The Wire, and 8, 9, and 10 of Breaking Bad.
8, 9, 10?
Unless we want to do the last 6 of Breaking Bad.
It would
So
screw
we
up
all catch
everything. I had it set.
No.
We typed it all out. Fuck your typed out. We're gonna do something different. Okay.
I'll tell you, after 1 minute, it was really hard to click away from start next episode.
Right. So we will be back next week, or for you watching this, 2 weeks, where we'll be in season 4, season 3, and we're almost finished with season 3 of Breaking Bad. Again, we're having fun doing this. We've also picked out the other shows. We have that shit mapped out all the way, so we're ready to roll.
Hopefully, there's a lot of people watching, but if not, we're still having fun with it. So
yeah, I'm having
you guys
blast.
You should be watching.
Yeah, if not, go back and watch them, and then watch them with us. See what I would love to see your comments.
I mean, honestly, you don't even have to watch the shows. We'll fill you in on everything.
Yeah, we tell you everything. So, bye.